clients with 3.2 billion pesos. In total, DSWD has 74 centers and residential care facilities. These centers and facilities provides protection and rehabilitation to the abandoned, neglected, or abused children, women, youth with disabilities, senior citizens, displaced persons, as well as individuals and families in crisis. Another modality under Kalahi seats is the kapangyarihan at kaunlaran sa barangay with 2 billion pesos. The KKB was only enacted in 2020 that aims to provide a comprehensive services to families who will return to their provinces or relocate to the identified relocation sites by the program and funding support. The families will avail of the program will be provided with holistic interventions to achieve their full integration into the communities, including livelihood support and interventions, community grants for the projects that ensure their access to basic services, enhance family and community preparedness and resilience to hazards, natural calamities, human-induced disasters, and health emergencies. Next is our disaster response management program with 2 billion pesos. The implementation of programs, activities, and projects cutting across all 4 phases of disasters. Number 1, prevention and mitigation. Number 2, preparedness. Number 3, response and recovery. And number 4, rehabilitation to help build a disaster-resilient community, to mitigate the effects of disaster, and assist the disaster-affected LGUs and families towards early recovery. And finally, the Quick Response Fund with 1.2 billion pesos. The use of Quick Response Fund is governed by the policies indicated in the General Appropriations Act or GAA, intended for the preparedness response measures, relief augmentation, and provision of early recovery services during disaster. Now, please allow me to provide members of this body a run-through of the DSWD attached agencies and supervised agencies' proposed budget for 2023 with comparison its fiscal year 2022 GAA. Flash on screen are the budget of the 4 DSWD attached and 3 supervised agencies, except for the NACC and NCBA. The other attached and supervised agencies have lower budget allocations for next year. As the DSWD prepares its budget for 2023, we seek to reinforce our commitment in helping the poor, the marginalized, and the disadvantaged sectors in society. More than ever, DSWD's budget will be pertinent as we project rising poverty incidents, increased unemployment, hunger and malnutrition, rising cases of teenage pregnancies, and suicidal cases among young people, and increased vulnerabilities amid the effects of the pandemic, among others, which we understand will continue until next year. I call for the support of this august body. Through your support, we will uphold DSWD's mission and persist in reinventing our passion in helping the poor with a robust mind and kind heart. As our tagline in DSWD goes, bawat buhay malaga sa DSWD. Once again, maraming salamat po at magandang umaga, ma'am.
Yes, thank you very much, Secretary. Are there any other further presentations, or can we proceed with the interpellation from our senators? May idadagdag pa? Or yun na lang muna? So with that, we invite our senators who are online, Senators Go, Senator Pimentel, our minority leader, and of course, physically present, Senator Robin Hood Padilla.
Tanong na tayo.
Oh, pwede na magtanong.
Mauna na sila.
Senator Coco? Or perhaps Senator Go? O, sige. Wala, dead na eh. Ikaw na.
Magandang umaga po uli. Bismillah. Ako po naman, simple lang po yung tanong ko sapagkat ako naman po ay sampalataya sapagkat sa pagkakalagay ng aking pinsan at aking kaibigan na kalihim, Erwin Tulfo, ako po naniniwala na nasa magaling na kamay ang DSWD dahil sa matagal na panahon nasa public service na po siya. Bata pa ako, nasa public service na si Insan. Gusto ko lang po itanong kasi ngayon po, tuwing dadating kasi ang Kapaskuhan, nakikita po natin ang ating mga katutubo sa iba't ibang kalsada, kasama yung kanilang mga anak, lalo na po yung mga kapatid kong badyaw. Gusto ko, tamang-tama po, nandito po ang ating kaibigan din, ang chairperson po ng NCIP. Kung ano po ba talaga ang pwede po nating programa sa kanila. Kasi ang nakikita ko po, hindi po sila talaga titigil. Talaga ang kanilang paniwala kapag kapaskuhan, sila po ay pupunta, babiyahe dito, ayaw pong sabihin mamalimos kasi hindi naman maganda yun. Kasi Pasko Natural lang na mamasko sila. Ano po ang dapat natin talagang gawin? Kasi po marami pong programa, kukunin sila, tapos ibabalik sa lugar nila. Pagbalik sa lugar nila, babalik din sila dito. Meron pong mga programa ang DSWD, katulad po nung SLP ba yun? SLP, yung livelihood program. Pwede po kaya, ito lang naman po sa akin lang po ang mapaglarong isip. Pwede po kaya na turuan na lang natin sila kung paano mamamasko nang hindi sila delikado. Parang gawin na lang po nating livelihood ba yun? Kasi hindi na po natin sila mapipigil. Ang kanila pong paniniwala, karapatan din nilang mamasko. Yun lang po ang tanong ko. Pwede po ba yun na maging livelihood?
Thank you very much, Secretary Tulfo. May sagot po.
Honorable Chair, meron po kaming programa na inaayos na lamang ho namin ngayon at we will be implementing it, Madam Chair, within the next few weeks, ma'am. Meron lang ho kami pinaprioritize. Ang una pong nakapila ngayon ay itong rescuing of street children, ma'am, para maialis sila sa panganib dahil yan din po ay problema ngayon, hindi lang po sa Metro Manila, kundi sa iba't ibang mga lungsod sa ating bansa. Ito pong problema sa mga badyaw, sir, at mga aita at mga mangyan. Tama po kayo, tuwing Pasko ay bumababaho yan. At paulit-ulit na lamang ho. Ang problema ho kasi ay meron hong parang band-aid solution ang pamahalaan. Wala po talagang konkreto at long-term planning. Ang nangyayari po kasi paulit-ulit tuwing Pasko, kukunin sila, ibabalik sa kanilang lugar. Ang problema ho, pag naubos na itong na pamaskuhan nila, babalik at babalik po sila sa Metro Manila. Hindi lamang po badyaw, pati po mga aita na obserbahan po natin yan, pati po mga mangyan. We are planning, sir, Madam Chair, na ang gagawin ho natin ay sa pamagitan po ng marami po kaming programa, Madam Chair. May Balik Probinsya program po. Ayun po yung sasagutin natin ang pamasahe nila para makauwi. Pati ho tirahan, kasama po dyan sa Balik Probinsya. Pati po kabuhayan, kasama na rin po, Madam Chair. Maging yung tinatawag po natin na Kalahi Seeds na community-based driven program. Nakikita ho natin, Madam Chair, kaya ho nagkakaganon is because wala po silang pinagkakakitaan. Tama po kayo, sir. Kailangan po nila may pagkakakitaan pag uwi nila. So yan po yung gagawin ho natin, ilalagay ho natin sila dito po sa tinatawag nating programa ng mga Kalahi Seeds Program. Nandyan po yung tinatawag natin, yung sinasabi ho niya, sustainable. Marami pong available na programa. Kailangan lang po i-implement and we must do it. Siguro po this year, para next year ho, hindi na po sila bumalik dito kasi wala nga ho silang hanap buhay. So bibigyan ho natin sila ng hanap buhay pag nabalik na ho sila kung saan man sila, sa Zambales, Pampanga, kung sila po mga Aita, kung sila po ay Badyaw, Mindanao, sa Visayas, ganun din po yung mga mangyan sa Mindoro. We will do that. We have to give them pangkabuhayan, Madam Chair, to solve that problem po.
Kapatid na kalihim at chairperson, pwede po kaya halimbawa sila ay imbis na magmukhang kasi parang pulubi yung itsura na, napakasakit tingnan kasi ito yung mga royal blood natin sila yung mga tunay na may-ari ng itong Pilipinas, bago pa naging Pilipinas to. Pwede po kaya yun halimbawa kung hindi po nila talaga kayang matiis na pumunta rito at mamasko. Yung aayusan natin sila, tapos tuturuan ng mga ruling, pwede ba yun? Tapos dadalhin ng maayos, yung hindi po parang tulubi.
Madam Chair, Your Honor, with your permission.
Yes, thank you very much. We recognize the chairman, Alan Capuyan of the National Commission on Indigenous People. May maidadagdag po ba kayo tungkol sa ating mga kapatid na IP?
Yes, Madam Chair, Your Honor, just a quick background. The mandate in CIP is focused on those in the ancestral domain. But the last 2 years, kahit yung mga nasa labas ng ancestral domain that stays in the local areas and even migrants ay naging focus of attention. We have activities with the Bajau, the Sama tribe, and others. Now, in relation to what is happening every December, meron na diyang nagawang solution ang city government of Davao, which can be a model to other areas. Ang ginawa ng city government of Davao, pag tuwing December, iniipon sila ngayon sa isang lugar. Lahat na gustong tumulong, mag-sponsors, ay pupunta po doon. While our brothers, sisters, tribes na nasa isang gym, ay naggagawa sila ng mga plano, yung magawa ng parang cultural presentation. So parang naging parang cultural center na lahat ng sponsor nag-donors ay pupunta doon. Yan ang isang nakita ko na pwede nating gawin. But on the side, we will be, thank you sir for telling us now. I'll be honest na wala sa isip ko yan. But with that now, I will be acting on it and in fairness, ang laki ng tulong ng DSWD sa amin dahil pag tuwing iwi talaga, hakutan, talaga nandyan ang DSWD. But on that direction sa city government, which we will multiply in other areas, gusto kong dagdagan yung sinabi mo, sir. Tama po kayo na isa sa ating preservation of culture, yung pagtatahi ng kanilang mga damit na maging presentable. So we are coordinating with TESDA for local trainings ng weaving at saka sa pagtatahi. Then may mga sponsor sa damit nila. So kung napansin nyo, sir, maraming lugar na ngayon sa Mindanao na talagang they are wearing their tribal attires kahit sa ordinary occasion. Pero pagpuntahan mo yung Aita, yung sa ibang lugar, yung kapatid natin na Sama, yung ating mga Bajau na kapatid, mapapansin mo na medyo, so, modern o kaya yung mga lumang damit, sir. So, yan po ay aming actionan.
Thank you. If you'll allow me, I'll just recognize Senator JV and Senator Sherwin Gatchalian. On the line is Senator Pia Cayetano. Secretariat, please allow her to enter. She can't seem to get through to our video conference. Please proceed, Senator Robin.
Okay na po ako, mahal na tagapangulo. Siguro makikipag-coordinate na lang po ako sa ating mahal na kalihim at sa ating pong mahal na sekretaryo. Maraming salamat po, ma'am.
Yes, thank you very much. Siguro sa special provisions, pwedeng idagdag yun dun sa SLP natin, sa yung SLP group natin. Maaari sigurong idagdag, just by way of suggestion, itong sinasabi ni Senator Robin Hood na gawing priority yung ating IP sa pagbigay ng SLP, sa pagbigay ng kalahi, at sa iba't iba pang hanap buhay na mga programa ng DSWD, pwedeng ilagay yun sa ibaba sa special provision priority sectors dahil kawawa nga sila pabalik-balik. Sige po, Secretary.
Madam Chair, dagdag ko lamang po. The problem right now is hindi po lahat sila natutulungan, Madam Chair, Your Honor, because of the fact na wala po sila mga birth certificate. To be able to get a benefit and become a beneficiary of DSWD programs, they have to have birth certificates, they have to have identification. So ang una pong gagawin ho natin this December is we will start registering them sa mga local civil registrar para po sila magkaroon ng mga birth certificate like the Bajau, sir. Tama po kayo. Ang problema po ng DSWD, hindi po sila mabigyan ng mga SLP dahil wala po hahanapin naman ng COA saan nyo dinala itong pondo na ilang milyon para sa Bajau. Anong mga papeles ninyo. So, we have and we must register this. Hindi po natin matatapos in 6 years because there's over 1 million of them. Badjaus, Mangyan, Samal, etc., Aita. So, we have to register them and we will do that around December, sir. We have to register them para pumasok ko sila. Meron na ho kami, Madam Chair, madagdag ko lamang po. Program yung Senator Robin Hood, sir, yung Sama Bajau, together with the program para sa mga badyaw together with the comprehensive program sa mga street children. May budget po tayo dito na 34.9 million pesos for 2022. Sa next year po ay magiging 36 million po ito. Pero hindi po, this is just for rescue po Ipababalik ko sila, pamasahe. What we really want is a concrete solution at tapang matagalan na bibigyan ho sila ng livelihood pagdating po sa kanilang tirahan. Wala pa po hindi pa po nagagawa ito. And we will, and this administration will make sure that they will be given livelihood para hindi na po sila pabalik-balik, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Secretary Tulfo. At least natutugunan yung kanilang kailangan. At tama yun, habang namamasko, dilista na sila at ma-ID. Senator JV, you have any questions? Or Senator Gatchalian? If the senators are ready? Wala yatang presentation kasi wala naman pinagbago yung budget halos, yung pa rin from the last administration. I just like if the senators will allow for an orderly conduct of business. Yung significant COA findings natin from 2021, I just briefly like to ask kasi budget hearing to, let's clean the books muna. Maayos na ba itong mga cash advances sa field offices na namamayagpag sa 7.964 billion? Have we cleared these cash advances and the other COA findings? Have we acted on them? Would you, Sec. Crisanto or Director Wayne, like to reply? I wasn't sure you're ready. Okay. Yes, Yusek or Director Wayne, either of you can answer, whoever's
Madam
ready.
Chair, my name is Yusek Crisanto. So these COA issues have been
Come closer, hindi po kayo naririnig ng
Sorry po.
maayos.
these COA issues had been addressed already since September. We submitted them already.
Yes, so what is the status of your cash advances? Kasi napakalaki po nito, almost 8 billion. Ano ba nangyari na? Are there any updates? Magkano na ang na-liquidate dun sa cash advance? Napakalaki ng 8B This carries on with the misstatements in assets, liabilities, and so on, which is over 2 billion pa rin. Has that been rectified or are you carrying that over from the previous years? Yes, anyone please? These are only COA findings, no? Dapat handa kayo dito.
As mentioned, Madam Chair, the DSWD had submitted to the Commission on Audit our status updates on all of this.
Yes, what's the management response from the department? Di ba pag binigyan kayo ng COA findings, magtitipon-tipon kayo, pag-uusapan together with COA at gagawa ng paraan sa madaling panahon. Ano na nangyari since then? Kasi December pa to, magtatapos na rin ang taon. Have you updated these findings? They continue to be in the books. No management response is on record.
As mentioned, Madam Chair, these had already been submitted to the Commission on Audit, and
Yes, can you
the
just,
implementation plan had it's now
Yes,
being
can you
prepared.
share that submission with us, or at least the salient points?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, Secretary. Has there been a reduction in the unliquidated 8 billion almost in the field offices? The assets also that are misdeclared of over 2 billion? And several other issues. Yes, Secretary.
We will submit a report to you, ma'am, within the next few days regarding this matter. The report that we have submitted to COA, we will be giving it to you. Pero as far as I know, Madam Chair, these advances were made because hindi pa po sila actually lahat like SLP na mga ginamit po natin, and then sa mga regional...
Yes, but these are from the previous year. This is from 2021. Kaya magtatapos magtatapos na yung 2022,
Exactly, ma'am.
hindi pa nagsasara ng libro. Bakit ganun? Dapat may management response yan, sasagutin isa-isa, tapos gagawa ng paraan together with COA.
Meron po, ma'am.
At dapat nabawasan na itong mga amounts na to. Kasi
Meron-
right now on record, they remain standing.
Meron po, Madam Chair, we will submit to you po. Siguro even before Friday, ma'am, it will be on your table.
Thank
Oh,
you.
it's
Thank you
further.
very much, Secretary. Pero dapat nasasagot ng finance natin to, no? That should be an ongoing effort. Among the COA findings is the fact that 54.37% of the beneficiaries, those who actually received benefits, were nowhere in the list of listahanan 2. Bakit nagkaganon? Maybe the four-piece program director, Gemma, asan ka? Bakit kayo namimigay ng four-piece benefits sa mga hindi nakalista sa listahanan 2? 54.37%, higit sa kalahati, binibigyan ng benepisyo, wala namang pangalan sa listahanan 2.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair and Your Honors. So just an update on this. We already settled this and we received an assurance from the COA, and we submitted the listahanan 1 and the listahanan 2 database as their basis in settling the findings po. Okay na po kami.
Hindi ko naintindihan. So, ano nangyari? Yung 54.37 are actually in the list or not actually in the list?
Nasa list po, nakita po, nasa listahanan 1 and listahanan 2. Kasi po yung unang findings
Bakit
nila,
nagtago ba yun? Bakit nung sa umpisang pagtingin wala naman doon?
hindi po kasi sila nabigyan agad ng listahanan 2 na database, Your Honor.
Ang atin inaabangan ngayon ay listahanan 3, hindi po ba?
Yes po. So, sa 1 and 2 lang po ang hiningi po nila. Kasi ito yung mga existing beneficiaries no, since 2008 po.
Oh.
Nagkaroon po tayo ng listahanan 1 in 2012 at saka yung listahanan 2 in 2016.
Sige, update na lang ninyo kami
Opo,
Kasi
Madam Chair.
once again, this is the status on record and it does not look good for the books of the SWD. Isa pang itatanong ko, nasa civil service finding din na 84.8% ng DSWD puro casual, contractual, JO at iba't iba pang klaseng endo. Apakalaki, you have the highest percentage of casual, contractual, and JO. Ba't ganun kataas?
Regular natin na 3,000.
Madam Chair, tama po kayo. Yung aming regular po is only 3,355 right now. Halos lahat po ay mga JO at saka COS, Madam Chair.
Yes, yun ang problema kasi may deficiencies rin sa personnel. Pinupuna ng marami yung kawalan ng social welfare and development graduates sa ating hanay, sa DSWD, at hindi daw mga professional o trained sa field nila at wala raw halos seso sa DSWD.
Program-based po kasi ang DSWD, Madam Chair. For example, kagaya po ng 4-piece, may tao pong sarili ang 4-piece, may tao po ang SLP. Ngayon, pag nawala na yung programa, wala na ho yung mga tao na yan. I will cite you an example, Madam Chair, and we're having a problem, and I will tell this to your committee. Ito pong nagkakaproblema ho kami ngayon, ma'am, dito sa National Housing Targeting Office namin. Ito po yung gumagawa ng listahanan namin. All right. To tell you honestly, ma'am, ang mga tao po na kinukuha namin na nagsusurvey ay mga enumerators. Ito po ay binabayaran, and I just found this out when I assumed office as the Secretary of DSWD. And this has been the practice pala. Mag-hire po ang DSWD ng tao para mag-ikot bahay-bahay. Tapos may quota. Hindi po talaga siya part ng DSWD. And I see the problem now at dahil sa pagmamadali siguro ng tao at dahil may quota siyang hinahanap, Madam Chair. So, lista lang siya ng lista without even asking properly the questions. Na kung talagang ikaw ba ay mahirap without even going inside siguro the houses of these people. Kaya nga po, I had a meeting with my undersecretaries yesterday, an emergency meeting, and I was telling that we are having problems with our listahanan because the point is, hindi yung mga tao na gumawa ng listahanan 3, they're gone. They are gone.
Okay.
And there's no way for me to go after them right now. So yun ho ang nagiging problema ngayon, Madam Chair. At ito po yung inaayos namin ngayon. So tediously, yung sinasabi po na 1.3 million ay lumalabas po ma'am na non-poor ay 500 plus na lamang po yung non-poor. Yung 700 plus po ma'am, kailangan ibalik ulit sa 4Ps because nagka-pandemic ho tayo, ma'am. Natapos po yung listahan ng 3. Kaya hindi po namin mailabas-labas ang listahan ng 3 because of the fact na may pandemic po tayo and hindi na po effective or valid yung sinasabi ng listahan ng 3 na 1.3 million ay graduate na, ay kaya nang tumayo sa sariling paa because of the fact we have pandemic.
Pero,
Natapos, Madam Chair, I'm sorry, ma'am.
Yes.
Natapos po yung listahan ng 2019. Nagka-pandemic po tayo ng 2020 and 2021. Therefore, wala naman siguro yumaman during pandemic. So we have to take them back.
but having said that, Secretary, just through the process of natural attrition, marami dyan, wala nang anak na ganun kabata, tapos na yung vaccination, so hindi na sila compliant sa mga requirements ng 4Ps with or without the pandemic. Hindi po ba?
Tama din po, ma'am. As a matter of fact, meron din po tayong safety measure dyan, yung batas na naipasa po ng 2019. Na sinasabi you can only stay there for 7 years. Ang problem din ho na kailangan ho siguro i-revisit ng ating po mga mambabatas, yung effectivity date po nito. So, perang tinitingnan ho namin yan, ang effective date po is 2019. So, kung ikaw ay nandyan nung 2010 pa, tuloy-tuloy hanggang 2026, ikaw ay nariyan no 2025 dahil yun po ay maglalapse yung 7 years mo.
Hindi kasi lagi rin kasi pinupunan ng ating mga senador, 15 years na yung ating programa. Kung tutuusin, we have spent from the year 2007, 900 billion spent in the last 14, 15 years. With 900 billion, ang nagagraduate pa lang, ayon sa DSWD, 97,000 ang nag-graduate from poverty. So, kung bibilangin natin yan sa ating mga senador na nagpapatakbo ng kumpanya, per head cost niyan, nasa 9.278350. 9.7 million ang cost ng kada isa. Kasi kakarampot lang naman ang nag-graduate sa poverty. Ano kaya, binigyan na lang natin yung mga yan ng 9.2 million. Laking tuwa niyan, siguradong milyonaryo kagad. Kaya, pinagtatanong dito sa Senado, sulit ba itong programa natin ng 4Ps?
We will leave that, Madam Chair, to the hands of our legislators to make the decision, ma'am. As we are just the implementers, ma'am, of this program. So we will leave that to the decision, to the wise judgment of our legislators, Madam Chair.
Yes, thank you po. I'm happy the Secretary has an open mind. I think it's time we revisit the 4Ps seriously because the government has spent so much and so far the only proven fact is that it helps in transient or short-term poverty but has not actually established itself as a pathway out of poverty. Okay, maybe we can ask the other senators if they're ready to ask their questions. JV or Sherwin, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, in line with your query, yun din yung tanong ko tungkol sa 4Ps, no? Yung honest assessment siguro ni Secretary, no? Because it has been with us, the program for, naalala ko na sa Kongreso pa ako doon eh. At that time, 4 billion pa lang. It went up to 33 billion. But in 2015, yung conditional cash transfer natin already went up to 64 billion. And at present, 2022, 107.7 billion, 2023 it's 115.6 billion na po. So yung pong assessment siguro, how effective is this in our poverty alleviation talaga, no? Strategy, because yun naman ang intention talaga niyan eh, no? Pero on how we will be able to in the future, yung parang kasi sa Brazil, sa Chile yata, sa South America, mayroon din silang conditional cash transfer, but there was an exit mechanism, Madam Chair. Sa Mexico, may exit mechanism. Yun ang tanong ko dito sa atin. In our case, do we have an exit mechanism? Kasi medyo lumalaki na lumalaki. But honestly, because I'm also a former chief executive, yung mga kailangan tulungan, siyempre kailangan natin tulungan. But it seems that we are already encouraging a culture of mendicancy pag gantong palaki na palaki. But probably with the direction that the President wants, no, President Bongbong Marcos, that we have to rebuild our economy, infrastructure development, no, massive infrastructure development, which will really spread out the development and create opportunities. So siguro yun lang yung exit mechanism if ever. Siguro pag nandiyan na yung mga infra natin and the opportunities are already available in the countrysides as well, yun siguro ang dapat siguro natin tignan later. Because palaki na palaki, Madam Chair, yun lang ang aking concern.
All right, Madam Chair, thank you very much po. Yes, Madam Chair, we have an exit mechanism po. Once you graduate, wala na pong, ang pinaka-basis po kasi, Madam Chair, ay pag may anak ka pang nag-aaral, okay? Pag wala naman na, opo, tsaka yung employment din ho. Meron po kami, when we advise the individual, the household, na ikaw ay gagraduate na, tapos ka na sa 4Ps, binibigyan, meron pa ho siyang 2 months to prepare. So, for example, we advise that household this month, so may matatanggap pa po siya ng November, December to prepare po. And then, meron pong programa ho kami, Madam Chair, na tinatawag yung Sustainable Livelihood Program. Doon po siya papasok. Ito po ay para pangkabuhayan. Nandyan din po kung ito ay isang komunidad sila na mga member ng 4Ps. Nandyan din po yung Kapit Bisig Laban sa Kahirapan or Kalahi Seeds. It's a community-based driven program para po may pagkakitaan po sila, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Seka Erwin. I know that I believe in your integrity. Matagal tayo magkakilala and this will be challenging kasi ang problema kasi ito, Madam Chair, cash kasi ito eh. No? As the program says, conditional cash transfer, yung sa 4Ps, ang magiging challenge siguro nyo rito is yung cleaning up the list, di ba? And siguro I'd just like to report to you, may mga information tayo that there's alam nyo naman, may mga iba dyan talagang mahusay, no? Doon sa mga beneficiaries, kalahati lang po ang binibigay. Di ba? Yung kalahati, hindi binibigay. So, those are the things, probably, if we can have safeguards on things like those. Kasi nakakaawa, no? These are really meant to really help alleviate poverty, matulungan talaga yung nangangailangan. So, we don't mind na talagang mapunta ito doon sa talagang nangangailangan, talagang poorest of the poor. So, para lang malaman nyo na there are some, basta dito lang yun sa amin eh, siguro alam ni Yusuf, na nangyayari, no? Kumakat pa yung iba, no? Na nakakalungkot, no? This shouldn't be happening. Siyempre, bago lang si Sec Erwin, but I hope at least alam niya po yung mga dapat tignan at bantayan, no? So,
Yes, thank you. Actually, sharing the insight of Senator JV. Ang tingin ko, kailangan baguhin na natin konti ang 4Ps program. Nasa batas, tatlong pamamaraan nito, health, education, saka nutrition. Ngayon, sa taas ng presyo ng pagkain, kinakailangan siguro tutukan natin ang nutrition. For example, dahil nagulat ako, binawasan yung supplemental feeding program. Parang kabaliktaran ng sitwasyon natin ngayon. Samantalang, sa kabila nito, ang tutok ng IRR ng DSWD tungkol sa 4Ps para sa health, puros vaccination. alam natin halos nag-overspend na ang ating gobyerno sa vaccination dahil sa takot natin sa COVID. Siguro pwede na mag-shift ng kaunti sa pagkain at sa nutrition dahil yung IRR kayang-kaya naman palta ni Secretary yan. Nagbago na rin ang panahon eh. At saka dahil nga sa COVID, labis-labis ang gastos natin sa mga vaccine, nagkabulukan na nga yung iba, nag-expire na. So kinakailangan siguro tignan natin ng maigi. Yung sa education, hindi ko alam kasi puros high school, siguro kinakailangan natin tignan kung pwedeng i-expand din sa VOC-Tech o Tech-VOC. Kasi talagang kailangan trabaho at skill setting. Maybe these are the things that we need to look at in the IRR, still compliant with the law, and holding up as an example the Mexican oportunidades conditional cash transfer, which has now leveled up to Prospera. Yung Prospera ngayon, yung sinasabi ninyong exit strategy na may social and productive inclusion, financial inclusion and banking, gano'n na, ibang level na sila. Pero talagang nagmula rin sa ating sinimulan. Yun nga lang, very, very good ang targeting nila. Ganda-ganda ng lista nila. Hindi katulad ng kinikwento ni Secretary Tulfo na nag-disappear na yung mga numerators ng listahan ng 3.
Yes, Madam Chair, that's a very good suggestion, ma'am. We will really look into that immediately after this meeting. I will have to talk to my people, the EXICOM and MANCOM, to probably adapt ito po yung ideas, very, very fresh ideas, which we will really, really welcome, ma'am. And I really think, ma'am, and I agree with you, na it's high time na we really have to revisit ito pong four-piece na batas po natin. Kasi I was a journalist back then in during the time of President GMA, and I think it was an answer to the rising incidence of the poverty. Yung poverty level tumataas po. So it was a solution by that administration back then. And then I was so surprised na after that administration, the next administration, carry over. I don't know for what reason hanggang sa nagtayo pa tayo ng batas and ginawa nating batas. I really thought, and we in the media were thinking na baka hanggang sa GMA administration lang ito, but na-carry over ho ito sa Pinoy hanggang kay Duterte administration, which maganda naman po ang layunin para tulungan po yung mga kababayan natin mahihirap. Pero mukhang hindi po talaga napag-aralan na maayos the way I look at it. Yes, Madam Chair. So,
Pilot lang kasi nung si GMA.
Yes.
Tapos lumawak ng lumawak, hindi na naisaayos yung listahan.
Exactly,
Doon sa
Madam
Mexico, ang payo nila, talagang yung listahan daw, yung micro-targeting, yun daw talaga ang dahilan kung bakit sila naging successful. So I think that's something that we really need to work on. Yung sinasabing micro-targeting by the local governments kasi sila nakakaalam. Thank you very much, Secretary, for your open-mindedness and tolerance of all our questions. Senator JV?
Well, that's good to hear. No? I have known Secretary Tulfo. I know that this will be a very challenging, he has a very challenging task ahead. No? Talagang hirap kasi ito, Madam Chair, kasi cash to eh. Di ba? Narami talagang kinakailangan bantayan. But anyway, it's been a good discussion that at least we are thinking of an exit mechanism. And I think in line with the President's vision of really yung pong nag-invest tayo sa infra, because that will really spread out the development and create opportunities. So probably in line with that, pag nandun na yung trabaho, pag natapos na siguro lahat itong infra natin, there are opportunities, industrial estates, business centers that will be put up in the provinces. Pag nandiyan na yung railways and everything, probably doon na tayo slowly pwedeng mag-exit because that will be jobs and opportunities already. So in the meantime, be rest assured to the rest of the SW family that you have support because we know for a fact that I believe in your character integrity. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Secretary. I think Senator Gatchalian would like to interject or start his interpellation.
Madam Chair, just to pursue the topic of 4Ps, I was quite surprised that after 900 billion, less than 2% graduated from the program. Tama ho kayo, kung 9.7 per capita ang allocated, ibigay na lang natin yung 9 million sa kanila para instant millionaires na ho. yung mga pamilya.
I hope I'm wrong, Senator Gatchalian.
Yeah.
Those are the numbers that were given to the Senate.
Okay, well, I was quite surprised. I don't have those numbers. But, Madam Chair, in the law, there's a provision there wherein the PIDS shall conduct an impact assessment to evaluate the effectiveness of the 4Ps every 3 years. The law was enacted 2019, so it's already due for an impact study. Did the department engage PIDS to conduct this impact study?
That's a good tool.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, Your Honor, yes, we did conducted a impact evaluation in 2012, 2014, and 2018. And we found out during that evaluation, Madam Chair, Your Honor, that there was an increase in school enrollment among younger children and increased school attendance among children 6 to 17 years old. So, nasusunod naman po. Positive impact observing enrollment rates for older children and age-appropriate enrollment in junior high school, Madam Chair, Your Honor. Per school-age child per year, 4-piece households spent 206 pesos more compared to non-beneficiary households. Beneficiaries spend more on health and education and less on vice goods compared to non-beneficiaries. In terms of attendance, no significant difference across all age groups, including preschool age, but it must be noted that the attendance rates for all age groups are already very high, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Well, Madam Chair, on a separate hearing, maybe the Committee on Social Services can conduct its oversight over the program, because the impact assessment by PIDS is very important. No? That will give us a complete view on the program. And so far, it seems to me that despite the effectiveness on participation rates, parang yung students, I can hear that the students are going to school, graduating. The challenge of breaking the intergenerational poverty is not happening. No? So, in other words, despite the students going to school, but they're still poor. No? So, I don't have the answer right now. I don't think we have the answer right now, but that needs to be analyzed deeply on why the intergenerational poverty challenge is not breaking. No? So that's what we need to look at, Madam Chair.
Yes, if I may, I think there have been several studies already conducted by PIDS in the past, not in accordance with law and Section 10, Senator Win, if I may. It's been very clear-cut that the solutions provided by the national government are a one-size-fits-all system, which clearly cannot be applied to poverty in the Philippines, wherein so many of the poor are in fact transient or temporary or seasonal poor. So there's the seasonal poor in Ilocos. We even have a name for it, gawat. The panahon ng gutom yan eh. And that's the time, that's July, August, pag wala pang harvest. So some is seasonal. There's another naman, temporary, pag namatayan yung pamilya o di kaya yung nagkaroon ng bagyo. Tapos yung iba naman talaga, wala talagang lupa, walang skills. Yun medyo mahirap yun. So I think it is time that we start looking at more nuanced, more niched solutions to poverty, not just a one-size-fits-all, because we're only talking about the temporal nature of poverty. Meron pang geographical yan, di ba? Iba-iba sa Mindanao, yung coconut farmers versus rice, and so on and so forth. So that's what we are invoking sana.
Madam Chair, on a later hearing na lang, no? That will take up a whole session. So, but to the department, may we request to furnish us with that impact study conducted by PIDS so that we can already start doing our homework.
old, 2018.
2018. I think that should be in line with the
Yes,
law, which is every 3
2018.
years. No?
I'm sorry. Yes, Madam Chair, Your Honor. Yung last one was 2018. But rest assured, Madam Chair, Your Honor, that we will coordinate immediately with the Philippine Institute of Development Studies regarding the concern of the good senator.
And it's also timely, Madam Chair, because I know that PIDS, in their duty to conduct this study, will request for budget. No, so I think DSWD should already start coordinating with them whether the budget will come from you or whether the budget will be inserted in their own budget. No, because that's what we did for the other committees. No, so it's important that we already trigger that impact study.
We will do that immediately, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Madam Chair, if I may, I have one more question on the basically on policy. One of which is the devolution in line with EO 138, and in that executive order, a few social services programs or delivery of social services will be devolved to the local government not later than 2024. Some of the social services program will be the supplemental feeding program, assistance to persons with disabilities, sustainable livelihood program. So I would like to get some updates on what is the discussion on this devolution. Of course, ako personally, no, I'm a big fan of devolution. I'm sure si Senator Imee also being a former governor. But the more services we devolve, the faster the local governments can respond. No? The problem is budget. No? Alam naman natin yan, not all local government units are equal. No? Maybe in NCR, baka kaya nila. But the LGUs outside of the urban areas will have issues. No? So we'd like to get some updates on this EO 138, if the devolution is on schedule, if it will be modified, and what is the department's plan for the devolution.
Madam Chair, Your Honor, right now we are studying it about this devolution kasi we have a guidance from the executive level, ma'am. Some of the programs, yes, Madam Chair, Your Honor, will be devolved like ito pong feeding program and then ito pong balik probinsya. Pero some of them, like the AIX and Sustainable Livelihood Program, I think will remain with DSWD for now, Madam Chair, based on the guidance from the executive level from Malacanang, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Can you devolve, Secretary, that will include also national budget or just the services? And that's a ticklish that's a ticklish question. I know it's a very difficult question to answer, no? But I just want to get some policy.
It depends on the DBM, Madam Chair, Your Honor. So kung kasama po yung budget, pero yung services po, kasama po yung budget, of course, pag when they execute those services, kasi saan po sila kukuha ng pondo, Madam Chair, Your Honor, kung wala po silang pondo. Sir.
So for now, it's still up for study.
Yes po. Basing po dun sa instruction of the executive level, Malacanang, ang sure lang po ay yung programs that will be implemented, yung devolution, are like the feeding program, also the balik probinsya. And pero yung mga major tickets po like Pantawid, SLP, AIX, Kalahi Seeds will remain with the DSWD, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Thank you for that update, Secretary. Madam,
If Senator Gatchalian would allow, I just had a follow-up question. With our concern regarding the implementation of the Mandanas ruling, what exactly is the position with the BARM? Because from time to time, I have encountered problems with the implementation of the SWD programs in BARM. Ang sinasabi lagi, kasi na-devolve na, may block grant na ang ating BARM. Subalit yung ibang programa naman, sige pa rin sa BARM. Nandun pa rin sa budget ng Central Office ng DSWD. Ano ba talaga ang sitwasyon?
Madam Chair, if you're going to ask me, I would love to turn over all this to the BARM government. Unfortunately, it seems like they're not ready yet, Madam Chair, and that's what the feedback that we're getting, Madam Chair, Your Honor, from the BARM officials themselves. So, yun ho nagiging problema. Kung kayo mo tatanungin, we just want to give it all to BARM para they can execute it. Pati ho yung 4P sana, lahat ho yan para they can do it better, I guess, in their own turf, in their own territory. Unfortunately, sila ho nagsasabi yung feedback is they're not ready yet, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Thank you, Senator Gatchalian.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, if I can go to another topic, no? I saw in the report that for the social amelioration program, there were about 1.9 billion pesos that were not distributed. And then there's also excess claims amounting to it's not so big naman, 1.6 million, no, to 928 beneficiaries. My point, Madam Chair, is of course all of this were done before, no, and some of them were done manually. I think they tried to do it electronically, but definitely during the first stage of the social amelioration program, it was all done manually. I was a witness to that in Valenzuela. In fact, sumama po ako sa pagpaplano at pagtutulong. Moving forward, no, and we cannot avoid that in the future we will also distribute aid, no, whether it's because of calamities or whether it's because of another, hopefully hindi naman, no, another pandemic, but definitely aid will be given to our constituents for the next few years. Is there any move to automate the distribution of aid? Because right now it's really quite primitive, no, when we distribute aid. And it's not only very difficult to the SWD, but it's also very difficult to the LGUs. No? Marami ho sa mga LGUs natin, sila po yung nape-pressure, sila po yung pinupunta, mga kapitan natin, no? Definitely sila po yung pinupuntahan. So, moving forward, I'd like to ask if there are plans from the department to automate the distribution of aid and to educate, no? Kasi mostly sinasabi po ng constituents ho natin, hindi ho ako marunong gumamit ng e-wallet. Pero meron naman ho silang smartphone, meron ho silang Facebook, meron ho silang GCash, no? But it's just iba ho kasi nakakatanggap ng cash, iba yung nakakatanggap ng GCash, no? But from a distribution and logistical standpoint, mas mabilis sa gobyerno yung binababa na lang through electronic means. So I just want to ask the department if there are any moves to improve the distribution of aid.
Senator Win, very efficient nga yung isabong noon. Lahat ng GCash, puro isabong ang transaction eh.
Madam
Then,
Chair,
lang, Secretary Tulfo.
Madam Chair, Your Honor, that's a good question po. Pero when the Marcos administration took over, assumed office in July, its proper instruction of the President to me was to digitalize particularly the aids, Madam Chair, Your Honor, the AICs and other programs of the SWD. There's a lot of companies already, Madam Chair, Your Honor, volunteered to help us digitalize free of charge. Unfortunately, there are laws that are stopping us from moving. So policies from the government procurement and policy board na stating that we cannot do that. It has to go through bidding. Ang problema po kasi, Madam Chair, Your Honor, wala na nga po, libre na nga po yung services. Wala ho ngayong gustong to undergo bidding pa, Madam Chair, Your Honor. Wala naman ho ilalabas na money ang government. So, bakit kailangan ipabid? At ito nga ho there's one company that we talked to last July and he promised na on the first 100 days of this administration, yung AICs, sa Metro Manila pa lang naman, NCR, ay igagawin lang digitalize. Unfortunately, ito nga po yung policy dito ng GPPB na kailangan kahit na libre yung services ng agency na yun to digitalize it, kailangan they have to go through this process of bidding. So medyo umatraso sila. Kaya nga, right now, I'm waiting for the DBM response pertaining this matter. Otherwise, naumpisahan na ho natin. Otherwise, kung pumayag lamang ho, siguro digitalize na uunahin po natin yung AX, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Yes, Senator Gatchalian, I also would like to add that there's been resistance both from the beneficiaries and the LGUs kasi kinakaltasan ng 50 to 100 pesos dahil may transaction fee dun sa nagre-remit. That's not GCash or PayMaya, not those payment portals, but the actual transaction fee. So nababawasan, so they'd rather line up in many cases, and they complain to the local government whom they suspect of all kinds of funny business, when in fact it was really deducted at source.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I think there were news about people deducting from the aid that government gives. I think if we digitalize all of this, that can be avoided. No, and I'm happy to hear that the department under the new leadership of Secretary Tulfo is embracing digitalization. Yan po talaga ang kailangan natin eh. And not only for social amelioration but also Pantawid Pasada and the other aids, no. And I will be more than happy to help you with your legal barriers. Just submit to the committee what are the complications that you are encountering. Pero kung off-top, pag libre ho yan, dapat wala na hong complication dahil libre naman, no cost to the government. No, it's only documentation. Nevertheless, I will support the effort to digitalize all the aid that government is giving and just submit to us a legal memo on how we can support the department in terms of their legal issues.
Thank you very much, Senator Gatchalian. Unfortunately, yung experience natin sa DSWD sa digitalization's not been very smooth. StarPay Corporation became quite notorious because until today, there's almost 7 billion missing from the 50 billion originally allocated. Malaki-laki siya eh. At hindi natin maintindihan yung refund na to pagkalaki-laki. So we're still looking to investigate. Maybe we can ask the Secretary, meron bang in-house investigation tungkol sa StarPay? Kasi yung refunds constitute 6.97 billion until today.
Madam Chair, Your Honor, wala pa po kasi ako when it happened, Madam Chair. Pero
But we were
since-
promised kasi from the previous Congress
Yes.
na mag-iimbestiga yung DSWD at aalamin. So I presume that there was an ongoing in-house investigation.
I will do that immediately, Madam Chair, Your Honor, that investigation that you'll be asking. Give me a couple of weeks, and I will give you a report ASAP, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to recognize Senator Jinggoy Estrada as well, who's online. Senator Pia Cayetano is finally with us. Senator Win, you have any further questions? Please feel free. Thank you very much. Senator Pia or Senator Jinggoy, Senator Coco manifested earlier. Would anyone like to
I'm ready.
ask?
I'm ready,
Yes.
Chairman.
Okay, Senator Pia, please.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman, and good morning to all our guests, Secretary Tulfo, and the rest of the team. Just a few questions, comments, observations. I do want to focus on domestic administrative adoption, our new law, but Secretary, I will actually meet with Executive Director Janela Estrada later on, so I won't use the whole time of the committee asking my questions on this, maybe just to put on record a few things later on. But let me go quickly to disaster response. Our law on children's emergency relief protection, it's a law that I sponsored a few years ago. I'm sure you know, prohibits the use of schools as a evacuation center. unless it is absolutely necessary because there's no other facility and limited for a 15-day period. DepEd has also issued has an issuance supporting this. Mr. Secretary, would you have a database on the areas that I guess you can start with calamity prone areas that don't have facilities other than the school so that you can prioritize the building of evacuation centers for these areas? May ganun na ba tayo para makaiwas? Because this is directly aligned with our desire that the kids are all back in face-to-face school. So importante talagang ma-address natin to because we will always have calamities, natural disasters, and they will always end up using our schools even though we don't want them to if we don't have other facilities.
Madam Chair, Your Honor, I definitely agree with you. Kasi since time immemorial, the Philippines has been using school facilities, buildings as evacuation center, rehabilitation centers immediately after each calamity. My suggestion with the President, Your Honor, a couple of weeks ago, to build an evacuation center a permanent evacuation center in every city, in every municipality, so that during calamities and immediately after calamities, education of the children will not be disrupted because the problem is, tapos na po yung bagyo, 1 week na nandun pa po yung mga evacuees kasi sira pa po yung mga bahay nila, Your Honor. So, ang suggestion ko po sa Pangulo ay gumawa po this administration will start yung mga evacuation centers po. Kung hindi po kakayanin lahat ng munisipyo, lahat ng bayan, unahin na po muna bawat probinsya and then bawat cities and municipalities, Madam Chair, Your Honor. That was my suggestion to this administration, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm very happy to hear that kasama yan sa priority recommendations niya, Mr. Secretary. If I may just add, the reality of our budget implementation is that hindi naman din na-implement lahat yan agad-agad. No? There are constraints in the utilization of the budget, in the construction. So may I ask you to prioritize? Kayo na magbigay ng listahan kung saan talaga yung areas na dinadagsa, no, paulit-ulit na yan ang high percentage na tinatamaan, so that we can prioritize. Can we do that, Mr. Secretary, para pagdating ng budget on the floor, mapakita niyo sa atin yung prioritized area?
Madam Chair, Your Honor, we have started doing so. As a matter of fact, I had meetings already with several LGUs. Unahin ko na po dun sa Palawan. I was talking to the Palawan Governor at willing po sila ng isang facility po nila sa likod po ng Kapitolyo na itagamit po, aside from ito po yung kanilang warehouse, ay doon po sa taas, sa second floor po, ay pwede pong gamiting evacuation center. And then meron rin po silang mga ilang bayan po sa Palawan na ginawa po nilang evacuation center talagang purposely built for evacuation po pag calamities. And we will be talking to other LGUs po within the next few weeks para i-coordinate. Willing naman po silang tumulong, Madam Chair and Your Honor, na magtayo. And they agree with me na kailangan talagang mayroong evacuation center ang mga LGUs kasi nahahamper po yung education ng mga bata dahil ginagamit po yung eskwelahan. So, kahit 1 week or 2 weeks na po, may mga areas pa po tayo ngayon na Madam Chair, Your Honor, na wala na po si Carding, nandun po sa eskwelahan po yung mga bata, kaya yung mga tao, kaya hindi pa po nakakapasok sa classroom at nagagamit ng mga bata yung kanilang eskwelahan, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Yes, thank you no for the anecdotal stories on your conversations with the LGUs. Tama, maganda yan, and I appreciate your efforts. Yun nga, but as I said, by the time that we have our budget, baka you can give us a list. Kasi we really want to see all those prioritizations. I know a lot of them will require discussions with the LGUs. So at least makita natin yung prioritization para kung wala pa yan sa budget ninyo, makatulong din tayong lahat because it's really important that we get it done. Okay? Let me move on to our next topic. Mr. Secretary, I'm sure you've also been made aware by now that we have a shortage of social worker have you made coordinations with CHED, particularly with CHED on the schools, the supply side, no, on having the enough programs to come up with graduates of social work to be able to fill this very important position?
Madam Chair, Your Honor, are you asking ma'am that kung may shortage po kami ng social worker? Am I correct, Your Honor?
Well, actually, I already stated it. I said merong shortage, and I said I assume that Your Honor is aware that merong shortage kasi meron ho talagang shortage. Our social workers po are in demand all over the world. So pagkatapos natin mag-training, magpag-graduate ng social worker, there are very lucrative opportunities for them in other countries, just like our nurses. Siguro mas popular ang problem natin with our nurses going abroad. Ganun din ang problem natin sa social workers. So I was asking, I actually didn't even ask. I said, I assume that the secretary knows that there is a shortage and what is being done about this shortage.
I will look into that, Madam Chair, Your Honor, to your question, Your Honor, regarding the shortage. Pero for now, I am not aware that we do have a shortage of social workers. Pero this is my plan, Your Honor, Madam Chair. Within the next few years or months, if we will have recruitment or job openings, I will definitely be looking for social workers, Madam Chair, Your Honor. Kasi po, DSWD is about social work. So, just like the DPWH, lahat po ng mga tao nila doon po ay mga engineers, di po ba? So, but as well, dapat ang DSWD po ay punong-puno po ng mga social worker. Dapat dyan po talaga ang kailangan po namin. Pertaining naman po doon po sa mga studies, meron po kaming program with the Miriam College po para sa advancement of studies ng mga social workers po namin. Meron po kaming actually 50 na kagagraduate lang na nagtapos po ng masteral sa social work. Of course, sa tulong din po yung ng Miriam College at ng coordination po ng UNICEF and ng DSWD, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Yes, Senator Pia, sorry, nakamute po.
Madam Chairperson, I just want to express na gugulat naman ako dun sa staff nyo, Mr. Secretary, kasi I recognize that you just assumed office. Wala namang problema yon. Pero nagugulat po ako na hindi nakarating sa inyo, hindi nagparating sa inyo ang staff nyo na napakalaking problema natin ng shortage ng social workers. That's why I face my question, I face my statement by I assume that the Secretary already knows. So kindly ask your USECs or directors to brief you, sir, kasi hindi naman fair sa inyo, nakakapasok nyo lang, and the work that has to be done, and many of which are required to be done by social workers, hindi magagampanan kasi kulang nga po ang social workers. So, mabigat muna issue to. Maybe, Madam Chair, I can ask even a 1-minute break for the Secretary to talk to his staff kasi I'm so shocked because itong bagong batas natin, as I mentioned, yung domestic administrative adoption, palang, wala pa dyan yung iba. Required ang social workers dyan. And that's why I even said, my question, if the team was listening carefully, was not even open-ended na what do you intend to do. I even specifically said, have you talked to CHED about the supply of social workers? Ako na nga ho nagbibigay nung opening kasi kahit naman maglagay ho kayo ng maraming positions open for social worker, kung hindi naman tayo, we don't have enough colleges offering that position is not enticing to them, wala namang mag-e-enroll at hindi rin kayo makakahanap ng mag-fill ng position. So may I just ask Madam Chair for a minute suspension so that the Secretary can talk to his team about this. This is so important. So I feel bad na the proper information has not reached the Secretary.
Madam Chair, Your Honor, Yes, ma'am. We will talk to the Commission on Higher Education para there will be more schools offering courses po nationwide para po dito sa Bachelor of Science in Social Work, ma'am. Para we will have we will be producing or these schools will be producing more social workers para po maka-ika nga na matugunan yung pangangailangan po ng agencies. I have some figures, ma'am. I don't know if that is still important, but of the 29,694 personnel that we have, Madam Chair, Your Honor, 6,747 or 22.72% are registered social workers po, with 5,742 or 85.10% are female, while 1,005 or 14.90% are male. Yan po yung mga social workers po namin sa DSWD. Another thing, Madam Chair, Your Honor, I noticed meron po kami mga openings for social workers, Your Honor. Unfortunately, hindi po kinakagat kasi medyo mababa po yung offer ng salary po ng DSWD compared po sa mga private entities or organizations, foundations. So mas kinakagat po yan. I'll set you an example, Madam Chair, Your Honor. May dalawa pong nag-apply ho na kakilala po ng actually ng nani ng anak ko. And so nag-apply ho sila and I asked them they went to the process interview. Nung tinanong na ho nila yung sa HR namin kung magkano yung sweldo, umatraso. Ang sabi, ay, malaki ho yung sweldo namin dun sa kabila pala. Sorry na lang, pakisabi kay Secretary because mas mataas po ng 10,000 yung isa, yung starting po yata. Yung isa naman nasa 20,000 na compared po doon sa salary ng social worker po ng DSWD. Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Senator Pia, there we go.
I'm here. Madam Chair, I'm happy not to hear that the Secretary knows about the salary discrepancy. That's exactly what I wanted to talk about. So I don't know if this information was just fed to His Honor now because kasama nga yan sa shortage. Kaya nga tayo may shortage. One of the reasons is that just like in the nurses, medyo iba yung situation kasi mas mataas ang sweldo ng nurse sa government office. So my question to His Honor would be, if this just was brought to your attention today, now in this hearing, then obviously hindi pa natin yan ma-address, diba? So that's the purpose of these hearings, that we can bring to your attention, but also point out to your staff because it's their job to bring it to your attention, Mr. Secretary, na ito yung mga problema na dinatdan mo na lang, diba? I'm not putting that on you. I'm putting it on your staff that they should have brought it to your attention para nga we can find solutions because for example, ngayon sa DOH, ang isa sa mga proposals ni Acting Secretary Vergere is to amend the Magna Carta of Health Workers so that magpantay-pantay ang sweldo ng nurses, both public and private. In the case of nurses, mataas naman ang sweldo sa public. So reverse ang sa inyo. Pero kung hindi kayo aware dun sa problem, hindi naman yung mauumpisahan yung solusyon, di ba? Kasi hindi naman nagsasabi ang staff nyo na it's a big problem. So not only are the private agencies poaching or sa una pa lang nakukuha na nila yung mga fresh graduate dahil mas mataas ang pasahod nila, they are also in demand abroad, Your Honors. In demand. Magagaling ang mga Pilipino, no? Let's put it that way. Masanay na tayo na they will be in demand and we have to come up with creative solutions on how we can address this. Yung situation nyo po sa social workers, ang kapantay naman na ang similar na problem dyan for your information are guidance counselors in the school systems. Hindi rin nila ma-fill ang guidance counselor positions because ganyan din, napakababa ng entry level. With the social worker, may I ask you to submit later on kasi nga I will have a meeting with ED Janela Estrada. So maybe isama nyo na rin yung in charge na kakausap sa akin tungkol dun sa growth career path ng mga social workers. Is that an issue also? Because yun nga, kung dead end din ang career path nila dito sa atin, it's another reason that they won't go into it or they will just use it as a stepping stone to leave the country, which is their right, but hindi naman nakakatulong sa atin. Do I make my position clear, Mr. Secretary?
Madam Chair, Your Honor, idadagdag ko lang po, right now, sa plantilla po namin ay meron po 693 social workers are needed. And then, our field lamang po, Your Honor, is nasa 638. So may kakulangan po kami na 55. Naka-open naman po ito pero wala pong takers dahil medyo mababa po yung salary nga, Madam Chair. Tama po kayo, Your Honor, na wala pong kumakagat. I think we need to adjust po dito sa salary po ng mga social workers para kagatin po yung offer po ng DSWD. Another thing, Your Honor, I'm glad to inform Your Honor and Madam Chair na patapos na po yung Magna Carta po namin for social worker kasi wala po siyang social worker, Madam Chair, ever since. So ngayon lang po ito, we started like around July at tinatapos na po ng TWG po namin itong Magna Carta for social worker, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir, for that. No, so I will expect some updates before the plenary. No, obviously, you have my full support on this issue. Now that it has been brought to your attention, may I ask you to ensure that your staff works on it so that prior to the plenary debates, I have the information.
Madam Chair, Your Honor, we will be ready by then, ma'am.
Thank you. Senator Pia, any further questions?
Yes, I still have a few questions. This one is just a manifestation and statement, no. I hope, Mr. Secretary, you can work out the issues that you raised on the procurement laws that prevent you from full digitalization. You have naman our support on that. If we can dissect this further, if there's ways that we can assist, please let us know. Kasi tulad nga ng sabi ng ating chairwoman, kung bakit naman pagdating sa isabong, marunong naman, ano? Pero pagdating sa ibang use, parang isa sa mga dahilan, hindi marunong gumamit ng digital components. But the bigger issue nga is how will you be able to push through with this directive if maraming procurement laws that make it difficult for you. So just kindly have somebody explain that further to us so that we can support in any way. I don't know if there is a need to amend the procurement law, and if there is, then it's for you to discuss that with us.
Madam Chair, Your Honor, we will do so, Your Honor.
And finally, can I just ask, I have a few more, but a lot of these things are really just two more. On the issue of abuse, children, minors and women, again, kaya natin kailangan ng mas maraming social worker dahil sila naman ho ang may training and they are the ones tasked to deal with this. But may we know, Mr. Chairman, if you are happy with the agency's yung dinatnan nyo, are you happy with how the agency is able to respond to this overwhelming number of vulnerable people? And this, as I said, would be children, women, sometimes even elderly, that are subjected to abuse, and in particular also sexual abuse. So domestic abuse could be physical, could be mental, but then we have this other issue on sexual abuse. Are you happy with how the agency is handling this? And if not, what do you propose that we do about it?
Madam Chair, Your Honor, I'm not happy. I'm not with what's happening right now. But we need to address this issue immediately. Marami pong problema. And my plan po, Madam Chair, Your Honor, is tama po kayo. We need to add the social workers to do this. To help out. Meron na po kami, Madam Chair, and Your Honor, inumpisahan po yung sa mga solo parent po na wala pong economically abused po ng mga ex nila, ng mga ex-husband, boyfriend, na hindi po nabibigyan ng sustento yung mga anak po nila. Gumawa na po tayo ng hakbang dyan, Madam Chair, Your Honor, in coordination with the Public Attorney's Office na kakasuhan po yung mga deadbeat dads na hindi po tumutulong. So, it will fall under violation po ng VAUSI through economic section. Meron din po kaming coordination po sa DILG para po naman dito po sa mga street children na we will be rescuing within the next few months o siguro or few weeks. We're just awaiting po na sa local government units yung kanila pong actions because sa amin po ito turn over ito, Madam Chair, Your Honor, ito mga rescue ng mga street children po. So, marami pong dapat ayusin, Madam Chair. Kailangan na pong tutukan. So, we will be meeting with our CWC people para po matugunan itong mga problema na ito. We can come up with solutions immediately to address these issues that you have just raised, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Mr. Secretary, thank you for that. May I know what you intend to do with the street children you will rescue?
Madam Chair, Your Honor, actually ito po, LGU po yung namamahala po sa rescue, dinadala po sa aming mga centers. Pagkatapos po, depende po sa LGU, may mga LGUs po kasi, Madam Chair, Your Honor, na yung magulang bago makuha po yung kanilang anak ay they have to perform community service. Yung iba naman po ay binibigyan po ng lecture na bang LGU. Ang plano ko po, Madam Chair, Your Honor, and then I'm already asking our Office of the Solicitor General at ang legal minds po namin sa DSWD, if we can do this, kasi paulit-ulit na lamang po, Madam Chair, Your Honor, rescuing the children, after a few months, nandyan na naman sila. I think we really have to come up with a permanent solution. And yung permanent solution na nakikita ko po, Madam Chair, Your Honor, is yung 3 strikes policy, which I still have to consult again with our legal team and of course the Office of the Solicitor General. Para po on the 3rd strike po na ma-rescue po ito, ay kukunin na po ng gobyerno, pag-aralin yung mga bata, pakainin, para hindi na po sila bumalik sa mga lansangan. Kasi paulit-ulit na lamang po, Your Honor, ang problema, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Thank you for that. Mr. Secretary.
Senator Pia, if I may, I'd like to recognize the physical presence of our minority leader, Coco Pimentel.
Thank you. It may proceed, Your Honor.
Yes,
Mr.
please
Secretary,
do so.
thank you for your response. You know what I was waiting for you to say, kasi ang tanong ko is, what will you do with those children? Ang sagot niyo, the question was, what will you do with the children that you rescue, the street children that you rescue? Your answer in a nutshell was you will coordinate with the LGUs. And then you went on to say what to do. It's a lingering problem, and pag strike 3, kukunin na sila. I don't really know what strike 3 means because paano ko yung batang yun bugbog sarado? Mag-aantay pa kayo ng strike 3? Sa strike 1 pa lang, kailangan, it is our duty, it is our moral duty to remove the child from a harmful situation. We do not wait for strike 3. We have laws that protects these children, Your Honor. So ingat po tayo dun sa statement na strike 3 kasi there are many instances that these children, and for that matter, women, need to be removed immediately from this situation. And then let me finish my second point. Mr. Chairman, the answer that I was, Madam Chairman, the answer that I was expecting, because it is the solution to these problems, and I have had the opportunity to discuss this many times in DSWD hearings, is the foster care law. The foster care law, we passed, I sponsored this law more than 10 years ago. And this requires the support, His Honor is correct, of the LGUs to fully implement this, but the direction and the leadership will come from the Secretary or will come from DSWD. The foster care law will allow you, Your Honor, to find a temporary home for these children who need to be removed from these situations or these environments that are harmful to them. We do not have enough centers in the country to house them. And the direction has been to really place these children in home environments and not in centers or things that are like rehab centers or orphanages. So that is the answer, Madam Chairperson, Mr. Secretary. So maybe again, I will say, do you want a minute to consult with your staff on the implementation of the foster care law, or are you ready to respond to how this will be implemented to fully support the concern that is clear to me is understood by the Secretary?
Madam Chair, Your Honor, let me be, I want to correct my statement earlier. Yung first strike, Madam Chair, Your Honor, is pag may physical abuse po, because nasa guidelines po yun, then wala na po, hindi na po natin aantayin yung strike 3, Your Honor, Madam Chair. So, doon sa strike 3 po policy na i-implement natin, Madam Chair, Your Honor, po kayo, wala po, we don't have enough yung hindi po kakayanin ng centers namin. So, doon po papasok po yung foster care, Madam Chair, Your Honor. Nadadalhin po natin yung mga bata for para sa mga foster care para who will help us take care of these children na pinabayaan lang naman po, na pinapabayaan na ng kanilang mga magulang and who is in danger, their lives are in danger while they're on the streets, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Oh, yun nga po talaga ang inaantay kong marinig sa inyo, Mr. Secretary, kasi yun naman po ang sagot doon. I don't know if your team is not on board with the full implementation of this because this is very important. So before I just ask Executive Director Janela Estrada to make a statement on the status of the implementation of our law on domestic adoption. And may I put on, well, let me say that when I ask her, the last point I want to raise before I go to the
Senator Pia, just to recognize the presence of our majority leader, the physical presence of Joel Villanueva. Thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So anyway, I think this is the second to the last point I will raise. I know that His Honor, the Secretary, takes very seriously the issue of support for mothers and children who do not receive the support mostly from the father, but it could be the reverse, case-to-case basis. I would like to bring to his attention my bill, Senate Bill number 256 on spousal and child support. Kindly have your team study this, and we would be very happy to get your comments and suggestions on how we can make it easier to claim spousal and child support. We know for a fact, I've been working on this issue even before I was a senator. Like His Honor, my father also had a legal talk show. Like His Honor, who used his talents to be able to help people. I know for a fact that support is very important. So please take a look at this law, because this law makes the process administrative in nature, and it gives new powers to DSWD so that we don't have to go through the legal process. So if you haven't seen that, then just take a look at it, and then we can discuss it at another time. And finally, I would just like to ask, as I said, I will have a separate meeting with Executive Director Janela Estrada. I leave it up to her if she'd like to give us a statement on the status of the implementation of the law, because with respect to the alternative childcare, and this is the answer to the street children, yan ang solution dyan. But I leave it up to her if she wants to make a statement now, or mag-uusap naman kasi talaga kami later.
Thank you, Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, you're recognized, Executive Director and USEC Janela.
Yes po. Just a short introduction about NACC, since we're a new agency. So the National Authority for Child Care is an attached agency of the DSWD, tasked to formulate and develop policies on pre-adoption, adoption, inter-country adoption, foster care, guardianship, leading to adoption, and all other alternative childcare services. So formerly, we were the Inter-Country Adoption Board, or the ICAB. Government services for alternative childcare have been streamlined and strengthened by virtue of Republic Act 11642, or the Domestic Administrative Adoption and Alternative Childcare, which was signed January just this year. So the IRR for this said law was signed just this June 28th of this year. So to date po, NACC has been operational for just about 10 months. So at present po, Madam Chair, Your Honor, we have an estimated 6,000 pending cases with the courts for petition for adoption, over 5,500 children in our child-caring agencies, out of which 1,461 are tagged for adoption, 365 of which are currently being processed for issuance of the CDCLAA, or the Certificate Declaring a Child Legally Available for Adoption, and 133 awaiting matching. So ito po ay para po sa domestic level pa lang. So for the inter-regional level, we have 64 cases waiting for matching. And at the inter-country level, we have 400 children, of which 165 are under older group, 81 are under special needs, and 154 under sibling group. So as we would want to prioritize domestic adoption in order to keep the children in our jurisdiction, it is critical that the documents of the child be processed and completed at the soonest possible time. Otherwise, the child's chances of being adopted decreases as the child gets older. So we have potential programs planned in an effort to alleviate this situation, but of course, we will need your support, Madam Chair. Recently, we have finalized the processing fees charged by the CPAs to standardize the process. So it is for this reason, Madam Chair, Your Honor, that NACC is requesting your consideration in accepting our proposed budget, which is significantly higher than the indicated budget under ICAM, as this proposed amount now takes into account the next phase of the transition plan of RA 11642. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Your Honor.
Madam Chair, can we get clarification? Because in as much as NACC, now headed by Executive Director Janela Estrada, takes over the ICAB function, it also takes over the domestic adoption and alternative care function under DSWD. So yung funding ba na yun ng DSWD napunta din sa inyo? Kasi yun naman ang dapat. Hindi naman walang funding ang domestic adoption and alternative care for all these years, di ba? Nandun yan sa DSWD. So, dapat ibigay yan ng DSWD sa inyo.
Madam Chair, Your Honor, let me answer that. Nasa amin pa po yung funding po niyan dahil wala pa po sila, bago pa lang po yung agency, newly created po yan, kaya wala pa po silang tao. So yung funding po ay nasa DSWD pa, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Okay, no problem with that, but they can access that funding, tama ba? Kasi the function of that funding is this function of NACC. So, hindi naman pwedeng maiwan sa inyo yon tapos yung function nasa kanila unless it's still DSWD who is performing that function, because the law allows for a 3-year transition period. And for your information, Mr. Secretary, hindi mo to problema, dinatnan mo to na problema. Nung na-implement yung batas na yan, minamadali nila ang pag-create ng NAP, which is fine kasi dapat naman ma-create. But precisely, DSWD no less that asked for the transition period of 3 years so that there is a smooth transition and hindi maaabala yung trabaho. So, kailangan, hindi nga maabala yung trabaho. Kailangan, yung budget na nandyan sa DSWD, magamit. Yun ho yun.
Madam Chair, nasa transition process po kami, 3-year period po yan. Of course po, definitely, we will download the funds to them para makapag-operate po sila doon sa kanila pong mga programs, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Okay, so what I need to hear, kung pwedeng at the end of this hearing sana, kasi nga kakausapin ko si ED Janela, she knows that she has my full support because gusto ko talagang ma-implement itong batas na ito. Kailangan maliwanag tayo kung bibigay nyo sa kanya yung budget, therefore, hindi siya kukulangin. Kung kulang man, it's because may additional na requirement siya. Hindi dahil walang budget yung agency niya. Nasa DSWD yung budget na yun. Are we clear about this, Madam Chairwoman? I just want to be sure para hindi tayo paulit-ulit para gusto ko naman smooth lang tayo pagdating sa plenary.
Madam Chair, yes, may pag-meeting po kami after this session po with NACC pertaining to that matter. Kasi may mga request po talaga ang NACC sa amin ho, request for additional funding, ang budget po kasi pero medyo kulang. Ngayon po kasi we are assisting them by yung mga social workers po namin, social workers po namin ay pinapahiram po namin sa kanila adoption social workers po. So, ganun po yung nangyayari. Pero, definitely, ma'am, yung funding, kahit ako, agree na medyo maliit po yung pondo para po sa NACC na hawak po namin for now, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Ang nililiwanag ko, Mr. Secretary, is hindi dapat kayo, I do not think it's correct to say na nagpapahiram lang kayo sa kanila because the law is very clear. May transition period. Accessible yan kay Executive Director Estrada. Andiyan ang tatay niya, nagbabantay kung talagang mabibigay natin ng full support dito sa agency na sponsor po tayo niyan. Ano? And I, as I have said, full support ako. But ayoko na pinagdadamot nyo ng funding and ng personnel kasi the law is very clear. I don't have to beg for it, Your Honors. Nandun na yung batas na transition. Kanilang staff yan. Staff na nila yan. Yun na ho yun. And there is just a formal migration of this staff to the agency. Hindi ho yan pahiram na maiiwan po sa inyo. May dedicated staff po yan. Can we be clear about that? Kasi sayang po energy ko eh. Kung pati yun, pinapaliwanag ko pa. And I don't want the NAC to have to beg for this, Your Honors. Baka we can recognize the father na maganda na ngiti.
Madam Chair, meron na po kami transfer na 50 personnel po sa NACC. Ongoing pa po yung transfer. Inaayos po namin yung mga plantilla for now, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Okay, and like I said, Mr. Secretary, dinatnan ko tong problema na to. Kasi the previous administration, klaro naman na may 3-year transition, minamadali. Walang problemang madaliin, pero maayos dapat. Hindi yung iiwanan yung agency na walang pera, tas para siyang nagbebeg na pahingi naman ng social worker, pahingi naman ng funding, hindi ganun. Klaro tayo na 3 years magtutulungan yan hanggang mabuo. Wala dapat change in services because we recognize na napaka-importante ng services na ino-offer ng agency na ito. Itong alternative care, lahat ng na-abuse na bata, yung nakikita nyo, napupulot nyo sa kalye, sila ang sasalo nito. So we have to give them their full support. Hindi pwede itong mapabayaan because of bureaucracy. Do I make myself clear, Mr. Secretary?
Madam Chair, Your Honor, ma'am, I agree with you. This is a first year pa lamang po, pero let me assure the Madam Chair, Your Honor, that this transition will be finished by next year po. Everything po, including the budget and the personnel, will turn it over to the NACC. That's my guarantee, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Okay. But again, Madam Chairperson, ang nililiwanag ko nga is DSWD nga ang humingi. Not under your leadership, Your Honor, to be clear ha, yung dati. Sila nga ang humingi ng 3 years para daw ma-ensure yung smooth transition. So whether tapusin nyo yan ng 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, I don't care. The point is, throughout this transition period, support NACC. That's all I'm saying. Support them throughout this transition. Hindi dapat maantala, hindi dapat ma-delay, hindi dapat maabala ang pagdi-deliver nila ng service because these are for the vulnerable children who need to be taken care of, who need to immediately be placed in foster care home or whose adoption should be finalized. Okay? I think I've made my position very clear. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Your Honor, the chairperson of the committee.
Thank you very much. With that, I recognize the Senate President Pro Tempore Lauren Legarda's physical presence. And I think the next interpellator will be Senator Jinggoy Estrada, and then by order of appearance, our minority leader, thereafter Joel, our majority leader, and thereafter Senator Legarda. Senator Pimentel, do you have any questions po? Yes, if you would care to ask any questions.
I thought it was Senator Jinggoy. You were...
Sorry,
Yes,
sorry.
yes.
Even I think we're all hungry for lunch. That's correct. Senator Jinggoy has been patiently waiting. I'm getting confused between you and Yusek Janela. Senator Jinggoy, please.
Yes, good morning. Madam. First of all, I would like to thank my colleague, Senator Pia Cayetano, for full to the agency of Janelle, which is headed by NAC. Anyway, good morning to everyone, especially to our Vice President, Senator, President, physically and verbally, and of course, to greet our staff.
Senator Estrada, please. Your audio is breaking up. Is there something wrong with the internet? Secretariat, please.
I'm sorry, but are you right now? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, Senator Estrada. Napuputol lang kasi eh. Oo. Please proceed. We'll try to hear what you're saying.
Like agree for officers of the TSWD under the leadership of Secretary Erwin Tulfo, all the of the
Senator Estrada? Senator Estrada, hindi po kayo marinig eh. Medyo putol-putol ang pagdating ng sound.
Hello. Can you?
It's very choppy. We hear every other word.
Me.
Yes, I'm so sorry. We cannot seem to hear you very well. Pakitext na lang daw kay Janela. In the meantime, if yes, Senator Estrada, if you don't mind, let's try to sort out our connection, at which we will revert to you. In the meantime, we will go to Senate President Pro Tempore Lauren Legarda, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and we welcome the DSWD and its attached agencies to the Senate. I'm not certain whether this basic question was asked earlier, but I want to know what is a total number after all your purging of the records of families who are being served by the DSWD under the 4-piece program, and what percentage of the families have access to sustainable livelihood program, which I believe, Madam Chair, is a very effective way of helping our 4P families, providing them with capital, with the equipment to start a micro enterprise, especially during the pandemic, proved to be life-saving for many families. So, Mr. Secretary, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, Your Honor, I think our team from our Office of the Undersecretary for Operations will be able to answer those questions better.
Thank you.
Your Honor.
If I may, Your Honor, as of from 2011 to 2022, we have 2,001,150 households also provided with sustainable livelihood program po.
Let's start first. How many families are under the 4Ps to date? are we providing for in the 2023 net?
We have 4.2 active households, Your Honor, as of August 31, 2022.
Okay, 4.2 million households, and of the 4.2 million households, how many under our present budget in consideration will be able to receive sustainable livelihood program?
Yeah.
2 million.
Your Honor, we have 2,001,150 households.
Sorry to interject, but hindi ba pag four-piece recipient, hindi na rin SLP o doble-doble na?
They are prioritized, Your Honor, kapag exit nila sa 4-piece po. Yung sustainable livelihood nga po nila, tuloy-tuloy po.
In fact,
Kasi isang reklamo yan eh.
Oh.
Kasi pareho ng pareho yung beneficiaries. SLP, Kalahi Seeds, pagkatapos tinutumbok pa yung four-piece. Yun ang problema.
the
Dapat exit strategy yung SLP. Pag nag-graduate for four-piece, dun na papasok sa SLP. Wag doble-doble.
may I know then from the Secretary what is your policy? Because I know that all the families, yung Pantawid Pamilya families of 4.2 million, they are the only ones who are accredited for the SLP, or even after they're graduating from the 4P program, can they still access the SLP? Because in the past, I was told that only the 4P families may access the SLP. So my question is, of the universe of all of those, sa lahat po ng mga tumatanggap ng 4Ps family, ilan ang makaka-access sa SLP? Or even if they graduate, but they're still considered poor, and what is your benchmark? Can they still access SLP? Because I've seen how SLP can be very effective in providing for micro-enterprises sustainable livelihoods for our very poor.
Madam Chair, Your Honor, if I may, before I give the mic back to my Undersecretary for Operations, SLP is an exit program, Madam Chair, Your Honor. For those people graduating from 4Ps, then meron pong SLP na sasalo para sa kanila, para continuous po, meron silang income, all right, after 4Ps. Pero if you're not in the 4Ps program, pwede ka pa rin po mag-apply sa Sustainable Livelihood Program. So, open naman po yan para sa lahat. Doon sa mga hindi nakakatanggap ng 4Ps, and then doon po sa graduate ng 4Ps, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
That's an important clarification, because in past years, I was informed that only those who are considered under the 4P program are eligible to access SLP. But that's okay, because kulang pa nga ang pondo sa 4P families eh. Di ba? Sa 4.2 million, Mr. Undersecretary had mentioned that only around 2 million or half of the 4P families have access to the SLP. Paano pa yung nag-exit na sa 4Ps pero considered mahirap pa rin? Can we clarify?
Sir, ito, target beneficiaries of the SLP, member of the...
Ilan po ang pwedeng mag-access ng SLP bagamat hindi na sila sa 4Ps pero considered poor pa rin? Yan, that's what we want to understand. And what is the basis of your database? Ano yung tinatawag natin na nag-exit na? Is there a term for that? You have a database of those still considered poor even if they've exited from the 4P program?
Yes, Madam Chair, Your Honor, we have that. Pag nag-graduate na po sila from the 4Ps program, then they're entitled for the Sustainable Livelihood Program kasi they're still considered na hindi naman po sila yumaman, and though hindi na sila qualified sa 4Ps program po natin. For example, mga anak niya, wala na pong nag-aaral, nag-work na sila, or merong employment pero hindi pa rin ho ganun kalaki yung kanilang income, so papasok pa rin po sila sa Sustainable Livelihood Program. And then yung mga nasa waiting list po namin, yun din po ay priority po sa Sustainable Livelihood Program. Yung priority list ng sa 4Ps na hindi pa po nakakapasok, then they can apply for SLP, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Mr. Secretary, based on the funds allocated in the NEP, less than one-half of those in 4Ps can access. Sabi po nyo, no? 2 million lang. Is that correct? Can I be clarified? Because if those not the poor in the 4Ps, kalahati lang, tas yung nag-graduate ay mas marami, at those waiting to be included, that means our funds for the SLP is really low, na kailangan perhaps i-augment para may tulong ibibigay sa pangkabuhayan. We know that there are other, Madam Chair, MSME programs in other government departments like Dole Pangkabuhayan, but this is specifically targeted for the poorest of the poor for sustainable livelihood. Madam Chair. Secretary.
Actually, Your Honor, for only this year, we have 140,054 households for SLP na for this year alone, ma'am, para sa mga 4Ps na galing sa 4Ps. And kasi kaya sila po yung priority para dito sa programa na to, Your Honor. Pero pwede pa naman po sila dun sa ibang, like nasabi ni Secretary kanina na, yung sa ibang mga programa namin like Kalahi and other AIX, pwede pa rin sila mag-avail dun sa ibang programa ng DSWD para tuloy-tuloy po rin po yung mga kabuhayan. Kung ano man, depende rin po sa assessment pa rin po siyempre ng DSWD po, Your Honor.
Clarify, it's 4.2 million more or less 4P families, correct? And Undersecretary is correcting the statement. I heard 2.2 million earlier. SLP, that's too high. I even said kulang. So it's much less than that. Only over 100,000 households, correct? Under our present budget.
Your Honor, yung 2,001,150 is from 2011 to 2022.
Okay, how about for the NEP of
And for
20?
this year is the 140,054 households.
So 140,000 families out of the 4.2 million 4P families, yun lang po ang magkaka-access ng Sustainable Livelihood Program. But you're correct in saying na meron naman Kalahi seeds, but we know the assessment of Kalahi seeds takes time because I was Congresswoman of Antique for 3 years at nakinabang ng husto ang mahihirap doon pero mahaba po ang proseso. AIX is quicker, but does AIX provide the same capital needed for micro-enterprises as it is for SLP?
Maybe,
Pwede rin naman.
Your Honor, siguro samantalahin na rin po namin na kasi we are requesting 4.3 billion additional budget for SLP para nga madagdagan kasi tama po kayo, medyo mababa po talaga yung
Ang pinupuntos ko, yun ang gusto ko marinig sa inyo. Kaya ngayong tanong ko ay para makatulong sa inyo.
Yes.
So sa 4.2 million pong pamilya na sa ilalim ng 4Ps, 100 plus thousand lamang, which is anong porsyento po yan ng ating tinutulungang mahihirap ang makaka-access sa kabuhayan. Sa inyong hinihingi, magiging ilang pamilya ang matatarget po nyo?
Madam Chair, sususugan ko lang po yung sinasabi po ng ni Undersecretary Jericho. Ganito po yan, ma'am. Ang Sustainable Livelihood Program, like I said kanina po, is an exit program. Pero, at the same time, kung hindi ka kasali sa 4Ps, pwede ka mag-apply ng Sustainable Livelihood Program. 20% po ng pondo na yan ay ipinaglalaan po namin para sa mga non-4Ps members or yung mga hindi po nakapasok. Yung 80% po niyan ay doon po sa mga graduate, Your Honor, na pwede silang mag-apply. At pwede rin po, maski yung mga LGUs po, ang ating po mga butihing mambabatas can recommend na, o sige, pwede ka mag-apply makakatulong po kami. So, wala naman po talaga pinipili yan. Yung nga lang po, ang priority, this is an exit program para po doon sa mga 4Ps, yun po ang priority kasi exit program po ito. Pero kung hindi ka po member, wala ka natatanggap at all, or simply, wala ka rin sa listahan ng standby ng 4Ps, hindi ka nadaanan ng listahanan, you can walk up to any DSWD office and say, I want pangkabuhayan. But provided na meron kang mga requirements, dala mo yung requirements. You don't have to be a 4Ps member. You don't have to be like exiting the program. Simply, ikaw ay ordinary housewife na wala kang pangkabuhayan. You can walk up to DSWD and say, gusto ko po ng 4Ps RD, gusto ko po ng 4Ps secretary. We will give you 4Ps pag ikaw ay qualified, Madam Chair.
4P program. You're saying, Secretary, lahat ng mahirap, sila man ay wala sa listahan, ay maaring lumapit sa anumang branch ahensya ng DSWD sa anumang sulok ng Pilipinas at humingi po ng programa which AIX, Kalahi Seeds, and SLP.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct, Madam Chair.
Lista as a 4P member so that they can be part of the monthly allocation of 4Ps. Is that correct, Mr. Secretary, Madam Chair?
Opo.
I would like to know, based on your wish list, because you only have a little more than 100,000 families or households who will be covered by the present budget for SLP, do you think it is feasible? Would you like it to be increased? And to what level is the absorptive capacity of the agency?
Thank you. Your Honor, dun sa tanong niyo po kanina na 4.3 billion na nire-request namin para sa SLP, makaka-cater po kami ng at least 253,000
Magkano raw yung budget?
na 4.3 billion po. Para doon sa mga mag-exit po sa 4Ps, pwede po kami mag-cater ng 253,000 na households para sa 4.3 billion na budget po, Your Honor.
So what you're saying is that in your tier 2? That's in your tier 2? Did you propose that,
Well,
or you're only saying it in the hearing? Ibig niyo po sabihin,
Not yet, Your Honor.
that was not in your tier 2 budget in DBM?
Yes, not yet, Your Honor.
Can you kindly give that to the committee, please, so that we see? So what you're saying is that if you were given an amendment, you can actually serve more than the 40,000 households of the 4.2 million 4Ps, or even those who have exited for the Sustainable Livelihood Program. It can be double of that, which is more than 200,000 households. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So how much would that be? 4 billion?
4.3 billion, Your Honor.
Okay, so it's a big amount. May I know from the Secretary, of all the menus of programs to service our poorest of the poor, the most vulnerable and marginalized Filipinos, that is what we are here for. Which of the programs of the DSWD, the socio-economic arm of government, is most effective? Kalahi Seeds, 4Ps AIX, or SLP? I believe it's AIX, no?
Actually, Madam Chair, Your Honor, all of them. All of them. Pero yung pinaka-favorite po na lahat, and it's every day, is AIX. Because dyan po kinukuha yung pang-hospitalization, burial. It's a stopgap measure. Pati nga po yung ordinaryong tao po, Madam Chair, na walang makain, they can ask for AIX and bibigyan po namin sila ng AIX. Yan po kasi yung pinagpipilahan kahit sa ang office po namin every day, kung saan ka pumunta, kahit sa mga provincial offices po namin, AIX po ang hinahanap ng mga tao kasi mabilis po. And we cut it short. Before po, it takes about 3 days bago ka mabigyan ng AIX. Ngayon po, I instructed them to give that AIX within 24 hours. Within 24 hours, makukuha niyo na po yung kanyang financial assistance na AIX. Pag pumunta po siya sa office ng 8 o'clock, paglabas niya ng 4 o'clock, dapat hawak-hawak niya na po yung AIX niya, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
So, maliwanag po na ang AIX ang pinakamadali. Pero sa experience ko, totoo po yan, ang SLP din I'm a firm believer, Madam Chair, in providing capital assistance because it's not just a ayuda or a stopgap or band-aid solution, but it's sustainable. Kaya nga tinawag Sustainable Livelihood Program. And at the proper time, perhaps I will make my amendment, not to the tune of 4B because I am not the chair of the committee. Perhaps the chair of the committee can find it in her heart to add 4B to your budget or part of it, Madam Chair. We can help each other find the resources. Yes. I think the Madam Chair would be able to find out using her wisdom as chair of the committee and
Gone up is, by the way, yeah, failing the exorbitant amount of 4 billion for SLP, may dagdag, malaki ang dagdag sa Kalahi Seeds. So, pwede rin mag-qualify sa Kalahi Seeds kapag hindi SLP dahil nadagdagan yata yung grant, ano?
Okay. Maganda yung binanggit ni Madam Chair na Kalahi Seeds. Alam ko, more than 20 years ago, panahon pa yan ni Pangulong Arroyo. Bagito pa akong senador noon, siguro nagsimula pa lang sa journalism na reporter si Secretary Tulfo, programa na yan. It's a global strategy to reach the farthest flung areas. So I'm glad that it is still being continued because there was a time, Madam Chair, when it was being considered to be phased out because it was no longer funded. So may I hear from the Secretary, will you continue this for the next 6 years? And I wish your answer will be in the affirmative because it reaches the farthest flung areas. And I know that for a fact, coming from a province that seemed to be deprived of national government help for many decades, in 2019, I was able to amend the budget to include Kalahi Seeds hanggang mga hanging bridge. Umiiyak ang mga tao pag nakokonect ang mga disconnected barangays sa mga liblib na lugar. And so, may I hear your policy regarding Kalahi Seeds? Thank you.
Just by way of information, there appears to be an increase of 134% in the Kalahi Seeds program for 2023. So malaki ang increase. Ikalawa, there is also some controversy regarding the infrastructure programs dahil meron rin silang farm to market road, yun nga, yung bridge and so on that are being questioned dahil wala naman engineer ang DSWD, so pinagtatakahan ba't ganon? Dahil kasi yung Kalahi Seeds dati, puro mga water station, artesian well, limited to livelihood din. Biglang may infra component na doon nagkakalituhan. So I think these are the two questions about Kalahi Seeds apropos of the senator's questions.
Actually, Madam Chair, Your Honor, let me just add to that. There's a pending bill right now in Congress to institutionalize the Kalahi Seeds, Your Honor.
The CDD.
The CDD, the seeds po, CIDDS. It is.
May counterpart.
May counterpart po yun eh.
Can you check? I know that the counterpart fund from loans or foreign assistance stopped already. That is why at a certain year, some years back, the government decided not to continue, but I'm glad you're continuing it. So,
From Australia.
is there still a counterpart fund or is it purely GAA now?
No, there's counterpart. World Bank ngayon. Dati Australia ang nito eh.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on the program. Meron po, yes po. May mga programs na funded by international organizations or by another country, Your Honor, Madam Chair. Yung iba po doon ay utang. Yung iba po doon ay utang. Iba po ay funded loans po, loans. Yung iba naman po ay may assistance from another country.
Percentage are loans and what percentage is GAA? 50-50 ba yun?
For 2023.
Don't have the percentages now. I just wanted clarity on whether it is still a foreign assisted or a grant or a block grant or a loan from a foreign entity. Is it a multilateral institution? Is it
In my files, carrying over from my
Still.
files, what is indicated is a loan from the World Bank.
So we just have the GAA counterpart. Mm-hmm. Okay, malaking tulong sa mga liblib na lugar na mahirap kung yung malalaking ahensya ng gobyerno ang gumagawa. Hanging bridge nga eh, laking bagay o patubig sa isang liblib na lugar. Ang laking tulong. May I just request the Secretary, I know you're new, to expedite the facilitation of the project kasi ang nangyari sa amin, although pandemic, buwan kundi taunan ang pag-implement in the previous dispensation ng kalahi seeds, mabagal pero useful. Yun. Well, just like many government projects, it could be slow.
Ang problem kasi we're looking at right now, Madam Chair, Your Honor, nasa yung social preparations, but on the side of the local government unit. Doon po nagkakaproblema, ma'am. Pero dito sa amin, medyo mabilis na po pag na-submit na ho sa amin. Pero yung pong social preparations po nila doon, kung saan itatayo po yung program o yung project, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Thank you for your patience, Madam Chair. And just one last question, although I have much more to ask sana, but of course there are other colleagues who wish to ask. Do you have a QRF? Because in every budget, there are agencies selected to have QRF. And when I was chair of this committee for several years, I always made sure that the DSWD has a quick response fund because you are the frontliners in times of disasters. May QRF po kayo.
Yes, Madam Chair, Your Honor, 1,250,000,000 po.
Of course, the leadership of the DSWD would know that even if you are near utilization of your QRF, you're able to replenish it through the NDREAM fund of OCD, lodged in OCD and the OP. You can request. And that's a big chunk that is not being used by every administration. Ang tagal, Madam Chair. Naging, di ba, mahihingi kayo. Tapos taunan bago nyo ma-access. Pero just to let you know, may pondo po para i-replenish yung inyong 1 billion.
Yes, Madam Chair, Your Honor, very cooperative naman po in helping us, the Department of Budget and Management.
Yeah, pero nasa OP yan.
Yes.
OCD sa Secretariat, the OP will have the say on the replenishment, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, of the QRF of agencies of government. Yes.
This year po, twice na nag-replenish ng QRF po namin after the Abra earthquake at saka ito pong carding.
Sorry, I said it's my last question, if I may, Madam Chair. Thank you. Preposition of goods. I've always asked this for more than 10 years. I'm certain na institutionalized na ito. I just wanted to make sure that the new leadership in the DSWD would still continue the importance of disaster risk reduction, and one of the most important measures for DRR would be the prepositioning of goods, since we are aware anyway of the oncoming typhoons. Of course, we cannot predict earthquakes, but insofar as typhoons are concerned, ay alam natin. So we do that, prepositioning in the local level.
Madam Chair, Your Honor, it was the marching order of the current administration, Marcos Jr., and then we implemented that ASAP. Kaya nga po, we were ready during the Abra earthquake. We were able to respond in just matter of hours, including the funding, the money to buy fix their houses, their homes. And then same thing with carding. So it's just a matter of hours because nandyan na po sa mga regional offices and provincial offices namin yung mga food packs, and then yung mga items like tents and everything that they need, family kit, sleeping kit, nandyan na ho. So it was very, very important. It was a practice before, Madam Chair, pinigilan ng former administration because nagagamit ng ilang LGUs sa kanilang pamumulitika, kaya pinatigil po pansamantala. But when the Marcos administration came in, pinabalik niya ho ulit yun. So that is now my instruction na lagi dapat all of our warehouses are filled with food packs, and laging may cash for AIX assistance sa mga people in crisis immediately after a calamity, Your Honor.
Thank you very much for your response, Mr. Secretary, Madam Chair. Thank you for the time you've given me. Of course, I am in full support of an agency that I almost headed several years ago. It may not be complete, full knowledge to anyone. I almost headed this agency, but I instead served my home province of Antique. Therefore, I'm in full support and realize the enormity, difficulty of the challenges facing you. Hindi po madali. At maski ginagawa mo na ang sukdulan, hindi mo pa kayang masilbihan lahat. So we're stretching our full understanding into the difficult task at hand, and we are fully supportive of your agency. And if there's any augmentations you need in the budget, the office of Madam Chair, yes, and we can help, and Senator Gatchalian and many others, because alam po namin ang inyong pangangailangan. Yes.
Since you've said we need help, we really do need help. We have a problem with our social pension, ma'am. Kasi that law was
Yun ang
passed.
tanong ni Senator Jinggoy na
When 1,000 na po per month from 500, kulang po isa NEP namin is for 500 lang po per month. Wala po Kailangan ho natin ng additional 25 billion.
Actually, tinatanong ko, so a number of things, just to observe. We need to support most of all of the minority, Senator Pimentel. I was going to mention two things, yung sa disaster preparedness, yung sinasabi ni Senator Loren na 1.2 billion, tapos as a general rule, nagda-download tayo ng replenishment 3 to 4 times a year. In the past 3 years, it's been an average of 3.5 or 4 billion. So, mas mainam siguro yung mas makatotohanan na amount imbes na 1.2 billion. Dahil sa totoo lang, nakaka-nervous rin yung download ka ng download, nagiging emergency procurement, at marami tuloy haka-haka dyan. Kasi puro shortcut daw, maraming turuan, alam na natin yun. So, mas maigi siguro, instead of doing this constant replenishment, because they average 3 to 4 times replenishment, imbes na mababang 1.2, which I find a little bit irregular because they keep replenishing. Not their fault, right? Yeah. It's simply that the DBM figure at 1.2 billion is entirely unrealistic based on the past 3 years. The average is more like 4 billion. So dapat ilagay na natin yung tama, tapos wala nang duda tungkol sa mga emergency procurement and all these calamity goods.
Madam Chair, based on previous experience, 1.2 in 1 quarter na ubos na in QRF?
No, the GAA amount stipulated is very low. It's always very low, 1.2 billion. Then they replenish 3 or 4 times. In the end, it's up to 4 billion. Ang akin, lagay mo na yung 4 billion na totoo. Para mas maliwanag from day one, they can plan, and even the prepositioning of goods, of medicines, and so on is much better planned. So I'm seeking support for that.
Perhaps they can also look timeline, let's say 6 years or 5 years. Ano ba yung QRF na nakalodge traditionally? It's just 1.2 or baka binabaan, at ilagay ninyo yung nakalodge na pinakamalaki sa nakaraang taon. Kasi ayaw rin mangyari ng DBM na malaki tas hindi nagagamit, pero wala naman unutilized QRF sa
Hindi pa nangyari yun.
Hindi pa nangyari dahil palaging may kailangan. But the Chair is correct in saying instead of replenishing every quarter, perhaps the whole amount, or if it's not, it's there You
At least taasan na lang.
Taasan, yes.
Kasi very unrealistic talaga yung 1.2.
Yes, okay.
If ever magre-replenish, minsan na lang. Tapos hindi pa magulo yung procurement.
That, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Nabanggit na rin yung social pension for indigent senior citizens. Ito yung tanong ni Senator Jinggoy na hindi natin marinig. Ito yung malaking problema kasi sabi nga ni Secretary, linakihan pa, pero wala namang budget para dito sa bagong batas, expanding it from 500 to 1,000. Wala naman yan sa budget talaga kasi bagong-bago. Ngunit, on top of that, noon pa, meron ng unserved portion. Kasi hindi naman nasi-serve yung mga lahat ng 60 and above na pinipili lang natin. So, yung reality, magkano ba talaga yan? Magkano yung dating unserved, pagkatapos yung expanded to 1,000 instead of 500 per month? Yun ang tinatanong ni Senator Jinggoy. Ang haba ng listahan ng tanong 8 pages Yung mga hindi pa natatanong, itatanong ko para sa kanya.
Madam Chair, Your Honor, ang unfunded po is 377,507.
Beneficiaries?
Exactly, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
377.
Ito po yung nasa wait list.
Nasa waitlist,
Wait.
377,000.
7,507 poor senior citizens.
Yung
Indigent.
unserved, magkano yung budget niyan kung mabibigyan natin yung mga dating unserved at the old rate of 500 pesos?
This will be 377,507,000 po.
Okay,
Chair.
377 million.
507,000.
Okay. Tapos, kung maging...
1,000 each. At 1,000 each na.
At 1,000. Teka. Hindi. Teka, nalilito ako. These are two groups of
Per
people.
month. This is per month.
These are two groups of people. Yung dating unserved, na totally wala sa listahan.
Ito.
Tapos, yung complete list at 1,000. Kasi di ba dati at 500 pesos, kulang na. Tapos, pinakihan pa sa 1,000. Mas lalong kukulangin.
Madam Chair, yung unserved po is, but funded is 589,523 for 2022. Pero ito po nga unserved but unfunded po nga is 377,507 individuals.
Parang baliktad. Baliktad yung sinubmit ninyo sa committee. In any case, if you could submit, because I heard amounts of 25 billion, tama po ba yun?
That's for this coming year, Madam Chair.
For 2023,
Another 25
if we
billion.
were to implement the new law, we would need an additional 25 billion. Is that correct?
25,768,665,000 for the whole year, Madam Chair.
This 25 billion addresses the old list of
Yes,
seniors?
yes, exactly.
Okay, on top of this 25 billion, that old list of seniors had a section of unserved persons, the 377.
Exactly, Madam
So,
Chair.
kulang pa itong 25 billion. Tama ba?
Kulang
Kasi
pa
yung
po.
unserved mo namin yan
Madam Chair, we're used to like, may backlog po kami pati
kaya
sa
nga.
Fortis, pati po dito. And
Dadagdagan pa yung
I'll give you another problem po, Madam Chair.
centenarians din. yung isang issue.
739 centenaries po na 100 years old na. The good thing about it is sumahaba po yung buhay ng mga Pilipino. The bad thing is di pa po sila nakakatanggap ng tigwa 100,000 po nila.
Yun na nga. Kasi
Baka hindi na po nila abutin, Madam
hindi
Chair.
na nga aabutin. Cannot afford ng waitlist yan.
Well, 2 months ago po, meron pong mabuti, umabot na po siya ng 102 years old, tsaka pa lang ho namin nabayaran last month
Inantay talaga, no?
2 years po. Awa ng Diyos, buhay pa naman ho si Lola.
Ay, maraming salamat. So yan ang kakulangan na alam natin, mga utang natin sa mga lolo't lola, lalong-lalo na yung mga centenarians. So I think these are priorities that have to be addressed. In the meantime, I think Minority Leader Pimentel, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Siguro we can, with the Chair's permission, we tell them na working lunch na lang. Baka gutom na
Yes,
sila.
please proceed and partake of the
Ayun na
lunch
kayo, sir.
given by the Senate.
Thank you, sir.
Ano lang yung mga tanong to, sir, para lang maintindihan ng mga kababayan natin yung mga programa ninyo. Kasi kayo actually isa sa pinaka-importanting departamento ngayon sa mahirap ang buhay. The entire world is undergoing some sort of crisis, different kinds of crisis. May economic crisis pa, so definitely hindi naman exempted ang Pilipinas. So ito yung mga eksakto rin yung 4Ps na pantawid Ito yung mga expenses na pantawid just to help us survive day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year, so that the state is given time to put its act together, diba? And let the economy take off. That's the main idea. Ito po natin mga programa, nag-attempt ako to list all of the social welfare programs natin na makakatulong sa ating mga kababayan. these are governed by principles, di ba? Tama ako na one principle is that these are for indigents, mahihirap na kababayan natin. If the answer is yes, how do we define who is that indigent, Mr. Secretary?
Not all programs, Madam Chair, Your Honor, ay meron po isang program dyan na even if you're not indigent, you can avail, Madam Chair, Your Honor. And I'm talking about the assistance for individual in crisis situation. Kahit na may trabaho po mag-asawa, kung kulang po talaga, walang pambayad sa ospital, then they can come in and ask DSWD to help pay for that medical bill. O kung hindi po, Madam Chair, Your Honor, yung mga burial expenses, o yung bata, yung anak nila dito sa Maynila nag-aaral, pending kailangan ng bata ng estudyante, yung mga school fees, they can come to the DSWD at pwede pong humingi na AIC. So it's not only for the poor. But pertaining to your question, Madam Chair, Your Honor, doon po sa sino ang mahihirap. Yan po identified po ng grupo namin, ng listahanan, sinusunod po namin yung poorest of the poor actually. Or pag ikaw ay, example, doon po sa 4-piece, if you're making 25,000 or less, papasok ka po doon sa 4-piece.
1,000 pesos
or less, yes.
Monthly income of a family or of a person?
Of a family po.
Okay. Of a family. We do not look at the size of the family. Basta your one family, one household, the combined income is less than 25,000 a month, you are qualified to apply for the 4-piece assistance.
For the programs of the different programs of DSWD, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
And then we also have the principle na as much as possible, you cannot be a repeat beneficiary.
In AIX, we allow that every 3 months you can come back to us, especially pag ito po yung mga chemotherapy, dialysis, so they can come back po.
So, okay, but generally speaking, you try your best to spread out the benefits.
Exactly po, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
So, so kaya napansin ko that, SLP is supposed to be the exit program for 4-piece. So, di ba?
That's true.
Generally speaking,
yes, Your Honor.
But siguro merong instances where you're still under 4-piece but you also are beneficiary ng SLP. But yun, medyo exception to the rule yun. Tama ba, Secretary?
Yes, Your Honor, Madam Chair, pero let me just clarify, if you're with a 4-piece po, dapat wala ka po pong SLP because SLP is an exit program. Once you get out, or if you're on the waiting list of 4-piece, then you can apply for SLP, Your Honor, Madam Chair, or anybody po na needs livelihood at wala po siyang income can walk up to DSWD and apply for SLP, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Sige, but the different rules, may mga caps ito sa amounts, di ba? Iba-iba naman ito. So, generally speaking, Secretary, para lang po sa kaalaman ko at saka lahat po nang nagsusubaybay sa atin, yung 4-piece, ano po yung amounts nung natatanggap ng beneficiary? The beneficiary in the 4-piece is a family, is the household.
Exactly, it's a household, Your Honor.
They're given, ano kaya yung benefits po nila?
Depende po sa Madam Chair, Your Honor, kung how many kids are going to school at saka kung ano mga grade level po sila because it varies on the grade level, Your Honor.
Sure, range tsaka yung cap. Ganun na, range yung cap.
Minimum po is 1,650 per month and maximum po is 3,450. And the breakdown here, Madam Chair, Your Honor, if you will please. 300 per child in elementary for 10 months, 500 per child in junior high school for 10 months, 700 pesos per child. In senior high for 10 months. Para sa health naman, per household is 750 pesos. Rice subsidy, 600 pesos per household for 12 months, Your Honor.
Okay. So for 10 months yung education kasi yun yung period ng ano, 'di ba? School calendar.
School calendar, Your Honor.
Pagdating po sa SLP, ano naman po rules diyan? May cap din po yan? May range din na amount?
Yes, Your Honor, Madam Chair. Depending po doon sa applyan niyang business, siya po yung magsasabi na I want to open this kind of business. Pero ang pinaka-ceiling po namin is 15,000 po per household.
1.5?
1.5 po.
Ceiling, okay. Good. Ceiling amount, okay. Kasi natutulungan din po kami mag-compute ito eh. If we get the budgetary entry, we assume the ceiling amount, i-divide namin yon. That would give us an idea ilan yung maximum number of beneficiaries.
Yes,
kaya po to tinatanong.
Yes.
Pagdating po sa AX, Mr. Secretary, ano naman po ang ano rito, mechanics nito? Ano naman yung range din ng amount?
So long as you're an individual in crisis, Your Honor, Madam Chair, pwede po kayo mag-apply ng AX. Sa AX naman po, yung burial po namin up to 25,000 po. Sa medical naman po, depending ho do sa situation or condition, sa hospital bill, could be like hanggang 150,000 po. It could be.
Depende sa supporting documents.
Exactly po.
Yung mga non-burial, non-medical crisis situations, just general hardship, ano po?
Transportation po, Your Honor, Madam Chair, and food, and non-food item, binibigay po namin. Yung medicines lang, kunwari kailangan niya ng marami po ngayon may hika, yung puffer, binibigyan po namin ng cash na lang po yan, 1,000, 2,000 pesos, or pamasahe. We would ask them, where are you going? Gusto ko na umuwi sa ganito, so we would give them pamasahe,
Okay,
those kind of things.
Sa multi-purpose program, iba-ibang rules depende sa needs niya. Yung nasa news na educational assistance, AX din po yan?
It is under AX, Your Honor.
So yung AX program, sir, we have ano bang amount na linagay sa NEP dito?
19 billion, Your Honor.
Yes, 19.9 billion.
Yes, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Ano yan, at the start of the calendar year, nakaprograma yan that as part of that 19.9 education, burial, or charge na lang lahat doon sa 19.9, it's a sinking fund, pababa ng bababa.
That's how it works. Ano ba yan, Madam Chair, Your Honor?
Maganda, it's a multi-purpose fund. Ang tanong ko lang dito is yung equal protection of the laws. Kasi ang assumption natin for the whole nation yan, baka naman Metro Manila-centric tayo ron eh. So,
no.
Does it need the presence of DSWD office for this to be implemented? Kasi most likely nasa city center, regional centers lang po tayo. So, Secretary,
It's not really, Your Honor, Madam Chair. It doesn't have to be like dito lang sa office. May mga off-site payout din po kami. Kagaya ng ginawa po namin sa educational assistance, may mga off-site payout. At then we download yung funds po natin sa mga regional offices. That's how it works.
Oo nga, but regional offices will be located in the regional center, most likely a city. Yung mga, gusto ko sabihin kasi as much, yung mga nasa rural area, as much entitled to AX, as I understand the program, as yung mga nahihirapan din na nasa cities. Pareho naman may nahirapan din po doon. So how do we make sure that the accessibility of the program is also
provincial offices, Your Honor, Madam Chair. We have SWADs, what we call SWADs. We have satellite offices, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Anyway, yung yung satisfaction of our target beneficiaries of the programs, how do we get the feedback? Kasi ang gusto ko sabihin, kung sinisurvey ba natin yan, tapos ang gusto, Ang next tanong ko, meron ba mga rural areas inaabutan din ng survey nang gusto ko sana sagot nila, yes, we are happy with AIX, we got AIX, yun ang, hindi lang yun nasa mga regional centers na most likely are cities or high-income municipalities. Yeah.
Madam Chair, Your Honor, we have a client satisfaction form. Another thing, we have yung grievance committee namin where they can ask for assistance or complain. That's how we monitor lang so far, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
If I may add, earlier we discussed that with Senator Gatchalian, and I've disputed from the beginning the enlargement of the AIX as well as the 4-piece program and all the other statutory programs of the SWD, because what we're mandating is a one-size-fits-all poverty solution, when in fact we know that some require only AIX because it's only a passing disaster or perhaps a death in the family or a long-term illness, when in fact there are others who are in the far-flung upland, remote, or coastal areas, as you mentioned, Senator Pimentel, who are really inflicted with poverty over the long term, with no skills, no education, no land. So, dapat hindi tayo one-size-fits-all, kundi mas nuanced, mas niched, mas localized ang approach.
I agree with you, ma'am. Pero, sa panahon nga ngayon, mahirap talaga. We really need these programs na pantawid, help us survive. And then siguro the more permanent anti-poverty measures should I think be lodged within other departments. Agriculture, for example, baka doon kasi talagang
Kasi nagkakasapaw-sapaw, kaya nga nagugulan ako, may 5,000 pesos sa rice farmers, pero may rice subsidy din sa DSWD. Eh dapat, naka-align yung dalawa eh. Kasi nagdoble eh.
The rice subsidy, even for farmers, should stop dito na.
Or somehow they should be aligned so that you convert the entire rice confusion into a virtuous circle. Benefit the farmer, sell directly to the consumer, or give it away to those who are unconditionally poor.
So, but once that program is envisioned, lahat ng resources to make it successful doon na ilagay. I agree with you, ma'am. Pero kaya ito, lumista ko ito lahat. Importante talaga ito lahat. Meron tayong assistance for the seniors, for solo parents. We have a feeding program. Meron ba tayong for PWDs na tulong?
Yan ang kulang.
Through DSWD. Meron po. Specifically for them?
Currently, we don't have that, but there's a law pending in Congress, Madam Chair, Your Honor, to give a monthly cash assistance to our indigent PWDs, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Actually, Secretary, Senator, what I was recommending is that in the meantime, kung walang pera, kasi glaring talaga yung omission ng PWD, ang gawin na lang natin dun sa existing funds and existing programs, maglagay na lang tayo ng special provision, prioritizing PWD, indigenous peoples, and other groups that are clearly marginalized.
Are the indigenous people who are marginalized, are they not appearing, or are their names not appearing on the list or on any of the listahanans?
Some of them are appearing to some are not. The problem, yung problem lang po natin, Madam Chair, Your Honor, is wala po sila mga birth certificate, so hindi po sila. Kailangan po, and that's our next project, Madam Chair, Your Honor, to have them registered as much as we can early next year. Hanggang matapos po itong 6 years po namin, we will register them. Ito mga badyaws. Kaya po, yan po yung nakita naming problem. We look at it, it's an ongoing problem. Every year, ganun na lang po. We send them back to Mindanao or send them back to Zambales, mga Aita or mga Mangyan. Wala naman po livelihood. So they come back. Whereas kung meron po tayo mabigay na SLP, kat SLP nga po, hindi natin mabibigay, sir, or kalahi seats because wala po silang documents maipakita, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
No, but they're entitled to be 4-piece beneficiaries. Dapat. And then, Kasi even the SLP, you document your beneficiaries. Imposible undocumented beneficiaries din yun. So if they can produce documents for SLP and some other program, this document should be acceptable also for 4Ps.
We have, Your Honor, pero yung mga registered lang po, 606,240 na IPs are members of the 4Ps.
We have the NCIP here.
Out of the 4.4 po na 4Ps beneficiaries.
Yes, 4.4, 600,000 households are
IPs.
can be considered as IPs.
Opo.
Out of, we have Chairperson Kapuyan here, sir. Per our data, how many households lang of are IPs in the Republic of the Philippines?
We have a population of 16 to 18 million.
Divided by, ano natin, di ba? Assume natin ang family size, 4, 6, ano po?
But 3 to 5 households.
So, 18.
But right now, per record, we have a total of 645,000
More or less.
IP household beneficiaries, but in the numbers of 3.5 million individuals, sir. An average of 5 to 6 members per household. That is the current status. But worth mentioning now that this WD and NCIP is now continually doing the enumeration of membership. And if I be allowed, Mr. Secretary Tolpo, sir, if they have no birth certificate, though it is ongoing, can the certificate of confirmation that they are IP members can be considered by COA for the as one requirement for their, because the COA is the problem.
COA is a problem kasi magiging observation audit na ano naman siya, observation.
Tatanong sir kung anong edad, kailan pinanganak.
Pero we cannot we cannot deny the existence of the persons or the family and they need help. Okay. Hindi ko in-expect na mag-match, sir, that all indigenous households because they are all indigent, ano. So syempre in-expect ko rin na meron ng non-indigent dyan o non-poor. Dapat lang. But yun na nga, you mentioned 3.5 million households po.
3.5 million individuals.
Individuals? Akala ko sabi mo to 18 million kayo.
The population nationwide.
That's individuals.
Yeah, because the problem, sir, is the IPs is classified into 3. Merong nasa mainstream area, merong nasa mixed area, at nasa intact area. Ito yung nasa mga laylayan, ito yung mga nasa boundaries.
Yun yung kinikip track nyo? Which one?
Lahat, sir, pero we are conducting really keeping tracking doon sa mga boundaries na. Kasi unang-una mahirap puntahan ang lalayo ng lugar.
Sige, anyway, sir, natanong ko lang naman yung bias para lang, basta andun ako sa the principle of equal protection. Yan ang problema sa unitary system of government. If you give a benefit na nationwide, dapat ang application niya kagad, dapat accessible sa lahat. Otherwise, unfair. Baka city-centric. Ayoko na maging city-centric tayo kasi although mahirap talaga rin ang buhay sa city. Iba ang causes ng kahirapan ng buhay sa city, pero meron din kahirapan kasi sa rural areas po natin. Ito lang pong Kalahi Seeds, hindi ko talaga maintindihan eh. Ano mo ba ito na the entire amount to be spent for Kalahi Seeds projects is borrowed money?
Your Honor, I think our team from Kalahi Seeds will be able to explain further.
Maganda yung Chairman Portis pala.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon po, Your Honor. Yes, Kalahi Seeds is it's a loan from the World Bank, the additional financing. So the objective is to empower communities so that they will be able to participate in the local planning process of the local governments. And they themselves identify they assess the situation in their communities, and then they also provide the intervention on how they will solve the problems in their communities. So they come up with basic services actually po. Small mini infra projects that they identify along the way. So,
Loan proceeds
yes, sir.
are now lodged with the DSWD.
Yes, sir.
Ganun ba yun?
Yes, sir.
Then, if there's a beneficiary, you release the amount to who?
Yes, sir. The poor communities open an account with the Land Bank of the Philippines. And then the DSWD will download that fund after they have requested the amount plus the documents. Then the DSW download it to the account of the communities. So they are the ones, sir, implementing the program or the sub-project that they identified. Yes, sir.
So, they need to comply with the requirements of the bank. Meron pa rin.
Our requirements of the DSWD.
They need to open an account sa bank, which is what particular bank?
Land Bank of the Philippines, sir. Yes, sir.
So they should be SEC incorporated, mga ganyan ba yan?
Not really, sir.
Not really?
Not.
Okay.
They form a community volunteers in the barangay. They form a group.
They give it a name.
Yes, sir.
Because the account name is the name of the group.
The name of the barangay, sir, actually. It's the name of the
Barangay. Yun,
barangay.
naintindihan ko na barangay is the
Yes.
recipient. Okay.
Yes, barangay. But sir, it will not pass through the barangay LGU. Yeah.
Paano
So,
ano yan?
it will be, but there are 3 signatories in that bank account. Of course, it is the treasurer, the barangay treasurer, plus the DSWD staff, and then our community volunteer, the head of the community volunteers.
Siguro kahit pasukan talagang details nito para maintindihan kasi una sa lahat, parati natin naririnig ito, inuutang pala tapos kumusta po yung anong tawag mo dun, yung availment? Kunyari, let us say, example na lang natin, tapos na yung 2021, how much was the Kalahi Seeds Fund for 2021? Per budget muna.
Per budget, sir, we have actually...
Billion din?
Yes, sir.
Sige.
Actually, for 2021, we have requested 5 billion.
Okay.
Yeah. But then, that's according to the FOA. But then the SARO that was given to us was only 3.3 billion.
Okay.
So, kulang pa po ng 1.6 billion. Then, in 2022, we also requested 11...
I'm just going to fax na.
Yes, sir.
For 2021, 3.3 billion pesos was released to DSWD.
Yes, sir.
For the
Yes, sir.
specific program of Kalahi Seeds.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ilan po dun yung nagkaroon po tayo ng beneficiaries na dinownload natin yung amount to the barangay through the land bank? Ilan
Yes,
po
sir.
sa 3.3 billion?
Actually, sir, we have accomplished almost 3,000 sub-projects for that. And it benefited 2 million households.
Pero amount. Ang tanong ko amount eh. Amount po, ma'am. Kasi may cost yun. But,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Magkano po yung amount ng projects na yun na for the calendar year 2021?
We have...
Charged to the 3.3 billion. Magkano po?
3.3 billion, sir. Actually,
tama ba pagkain?
the GAA that was given to us is only 4.6 billion.
Hindi, 4.6.
Yes, sir.
Per 2021 GAA.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Actually released was, kasi fax na po ito ha, kasi 2021 na eh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Actually released was what amount? 3.3. Or buo?
Yeah, 3.3. Hindi po buo.
Buo, 3.3.
Yes, only 3.3 in
Magkano po
2020.
nagamit sa 3.3 under Kalahi Seeds?
Actually, lahat po, sir, yun, nagamit po.
Ubos.
Actually, medyo may kulang pa po tayo.
So ibig sabihin may mga request na hindi nyo na napagbigyan.
Yes, sir.
So ubos yun.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir.
But now Kalahi Seeds is now 11 billion? Tama po ba itong ano?
Yes, sir. We are requesting for 11 billion this 2023 because it is already...
Tama, may plus 2 billion pa na locally funded. Tama po ba yung pagkaintindi ko? So we add the two, it's 13 billion for Kalahi Seeds.
Actually, we have another modality that the 2 billion. It's KKB. It's GOP. It's purely GOP. That KKB. Yes, Madam Chair.
Eka, can you delineate what is KKB and what's the GOP? There's a whole alphabet soup arising.
Ma'am, Madam.
Ma'am, okay, ganito. Basta, sorry, na-mix ko siguro yung mga concepts. Kanina utang kasi tanong ko, but nag-focus ako ngayon sa total Kalahi Seeds. It is 2 billion atin,
Yes.
from our
Madam
government
Chair.
revenues, is 11 billion uutangin.
Yes, sir. It's part of the loan. Yung
Well,
11
we
billion.
joined them together. 13 billion is now the funding for Kalahi Seeds. Is that tama ba pagkaintindi ko?
Actually, sir, medyo nakakalito nga po. Madam Chair, actually, yung 11 billion po na nire-request natin, it's the loan from the World Bank. That's another modality. It's a loan. And then we have another one, the Kalahi Seeds KKB. And it's also, it's not a loan. It's funded by the Philippine government, Madam Chair.
Oo nga, pero yung use ba? The use. Sa use, okay na yun. Source yun, ha? Sinasabi niyo yung source. Local, 2 billion.
Yes, sir.
International, 11 billion.
Yes, sir.
But the use of the fund for Kalahi Seeds, tama po yun? So, for Kalahi Seeds, we have 13 billion.
Yes,
Tama?
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, sige.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, so, paano po ito na meron naman ako nabasa na mayroon tayong binayaran na commitment fees for some of the loans and some of, not all naman loans for Kalahi Seeds, but some of the loans na nagbayad tayo ng commitment fees are for Kalahi Seeds. Ang pag-understanding ko ng commitment fees, just correct me if I'm wrong, ha? Penalty ito. Ano, magandang salita lang yun, commitment fees, pero penalty, ibig sabihin hindi, in the name of the Republic of the Philippines, mayroon tayong line doon or right na umutang, hindi natin hindi natin kinuha. Kaya may commitment fee ka, babayaran. So, 70 million ba yun? O mga 70 million. Pero hindi lang ito sa Kalahi Seeds, sa lahat-lahat. Pero tama po ba yun na merong ganon, nangyayari ganon? So that means we are not overestimating our capacity to avail of the loan arrangements that we have secured. Apo.
Yes po, Madam Chair, Senator, meron po tayong binabayaran ng commitment fee because this is a loan from the World Bank. Yes, sir.
Is that penalty? Is the concept a penalty? Or part ito sa banking fees connected with the loan?
Yes. May I ask Director Wayne, please?
Can answer, sir, Director Wayne.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Your Honor. So it is true the Kalahi Seeds additional financing is being funded by a loan coming from the World Bank. And in the loan agreement, it is expressly stipulated that for the balance of the loan, okay, that is not accessed by the government of the Philippines, there is like an opportunity cost that they compute, and they term it commitment fee. The Bureau of the Treasury computes this every semester, Your Honor. So whatever is amount that a loan amount that is not yet availed of, that is the basis for the computation of the commitment fee, Your Honor.
Okay, at least yung concept na explain na, pero it's in the form of a penalty. So shouldn't this be parang feedback to us or a reflection on our planning? Parang gano'n. Oh, tama, na-raise ito sa DOTR actually. Sa DOTR yata, Madam Chair, 160 million plus. Ito sa inyo, sa DSWD, 70 million for 3 loans daw. So, ganun siguro siguro sa planning, we have to go back to planning kasi imagine 70 million kung direct bigay na natin to sa additional 4 piece, di ba? And I'm sure the World Bank will not mind na imbis sa kanila pumunta na lang sa taong nangangailangan. So, how are we improving, ma'am, our planning? Kasi, 2021, 3.3 B, ubos, hindi ko na matanong kung saan galing yun, kung inutang o hindi. But now, it's 11B, so plus 2, 13B. So, we are parang lumalabas, we are so optimistic with the program, we are so confident with the program na talagang this is much needed and it will be implemented, actually implemented. Sana ganun yung ating attitude when we expand the program. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. May we get, Secretary, you want, sino wants to react to yung ano ko lang, yung parang statement ko na i-input natin sa planning kasi baka next year may audit finding na naman tayo na ganito, commitment fees. Sino nagsasalita? Senator Jinggoy? Madam Chair, Senator Jinggoy.
With all due respect to Senator Coco, may I be recognized?
Yes, Senator Jinggoy, we can hear you loud and clear now. But a lot of your questions in the 8 pages have actually been already relayed. In any case, please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This presentation would like to be enlightened. What is the meaning of KKB?
Sir, Madam Chair, Your Honor po, KKB means kapitbisig, kaunlaran at kapangyarihan sa barangay po. Kasi it's a community empowerment po.
Yeah. With all due respect to Senator Coco, kasi sabi niya, Madam, yung cheque payable sa barangay, pangalan ng barangay. Am I correct?
Your Honor, yes po, sa barangay po. Pero ang signatories po natin ay may kasama pong community volunteer,
So
Your Honor.
paano na-encash ng barangay yan kung nasa pangalan ng barangay yan? Di ba dapat ang barangay mismo mag-encash ng cheque? Hindi ba ho ganun yan? Or
Your Honor po, kasama po kasi yung banded po, yung isa po doon sa signatories is the barangay treasurer po, Your Honor.
Walang say ang barangay captain?
Hindi po kasama sa doon si barangay captain. Opo. Pero with blessing po yun ni barangay captain.
Kung makialam ang barangay captain, paano mangyayari?
Again?
Kung makialam ang barangay captain sa pondo.
Yes sir. Your Honor po, dahil po ito ay community empowerment, alam po ito ng LGU kung ano po yung proseso natin dito sa Kalahi Seeds. Yes sir. The LGU provide technical assistance po and support, Madam Chair, pagdating po sa implementation ng Kalahi Seeds po, Your Honor.
Wala naman kayo nagiging problema wala ba kayo na-encounter na nagiging problema ninyo ang mga barangay captain na nakikialam sa pondo?
Your Honor, Madam Chair, minsan po meron, pero na-explain naman po natin yung proseso po ng Kalahi Seeds at naiintindihan po ito ng munisipyo and the barangay level LGUs po, Your Honor.
Pwede niyo ba ako bigyan ng example kung paano nakikialam ang mga barangay captain dyan sa pondo na yan?
Your Honor, dumidiretso po kasi yung funds doon sa account ng communities. Kaya po hindi po sa awa po ng Diyos, wala po lumalabas doon sa ating COA na issue. Wala po. Kasi ang communities po nakabantay po doon sa proseso, nakabantay po lahat ng members sa communities doon sa nangyayari, even sa funds. Kasi po may tatlo po tayong elemento dito na ginagawa or nilalaman nitong ating pong Kalahi Seeds. Kailangan po may participation ng lahat po sa barangay. Another one, meron pong transparency para alam po ng barangay, ng mga tao sa barangay kung saan po ginagamit ang pera. So may mga reporting po na nangyayari sa barangay at ginagawa po yun during barangay assemblies po. At meron din po tayong grievance redress system na kung saan pag medyo may nakikita po ang mga tao na problema, pwede po sila doon mag-report, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Maraming salamat, Madam. At ako lang nire-remind ko lang dahil maraming mga barangay captain na talagang gusto nilang pakialaman yung mga pondo na napupunta sa kanilang barangay. Hindi ko naman nilalahat yung mga barangay captain. Kaya lang
Yes, sir.
Maraming salamat po, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir. Maraming
Madam Chair, ganito siguro gawin natin. Advice na lang ito sa DSWD kasi nakalodge ito sa budget ninyo. Siguro, magbigay kayo ng parang special briefing for senators on what, the nitty-gritty, lahat ng detalye ng Kalahi Seeds, para we save 1 or 2 hours in next year's budget hearing. Kasi
Kahit
sabihin na
mag-submit na lang ng executive summary, executive brief. For now, hanggang plenary.
For now, hanggang plenary. Pero for next year's budget cycle, kung mas maraming maintindihan na namin na mabuti yung Kalahi Seeds, we can save 1 to 2 hours. May we get your name, ma'am? You're the one answering our questions?
My name po, Your Honor, Madam Chair, Maria Consuelo Acosta po.
Yes.
Officer in charge po sa ngayon ng Kalahi Seeds po. Thank you po.
Kasi meron tamang, you tried to distinguish nga the locally funded project, although bisig laban sa kahirapan, comprehensive and integrated delivery of social services pa rin yung pangalan niya. Pero you were emphasizing yung KKB part, kapangyarihan at kaunlaran sa barangay. Kasi sa foreign assisted projects, wala yung wording na yon, yung KKB na yon. Pero pasok kasi additional financing for the same program, Kapitbisig Laban sa Kahirapan, Comprehensive and Integrated Delivery of Social Services. Iba na yung after the colon, National Community Driven Development Project.
Yes, sir.
Iba ba yun? Dalawang yun? Iba?
Yes, sir, Your Honor, Madam Chair. Dalawa po kasing modalities yun. Yung una po, yung loan po natin sa World Bank, ito po yung National Community Driven Development Program, additional financing. So yun po yung ating loan from the World Bank. And then may isa din po tayong modality, yung KKB po, Kalahi Seeds din po yun, KKB. So yun po, purely GOP po yun.
Hindi, GOP is, ano yung GOP?
Government of the Philippines Fund po.
Sa funding lang nga, pero you changed the name, iba ba ang program, iba ba ang projects doon? Iba ba ang activities doon?
The same po siya, the same process po.
The same.
Magkaiba lang po ng ano.
To identify the source.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, I get
Yes,
it.
sir po,
Okay.
Madam Chair.
I get it.
Yes po.
Medyo, okay.
Kahit
at least meron additional knowledge tayo na ano. So okay, so the Marcos administration is giving priority to Kalahi Seeds given the increase, di ba? For 2022 magkano po ang Kalahi Seeds?
For 2022,
Sa GAA.
sa GAA po natin for 22 is 4.6 billion pesos po.
4.6. Combined na po yun,
Yes,
from
po.
GOP and from international. So, wow, from 4 something in 2021, another 4 something in 2022.
Actually, nga tinatanong ko bakit 134% increase isang programa?
So, that's, so, focus talaga po, priority bali ito ng current administration.
Yes po, Madam Chair.
Is that a result of the loan proceeds and the peso depreciation?
Actually po, Madam Chair, yung 11 billion po natin, since next year is the last year of the implementation of this World
I
Bank.
see. Kasi magwa-wind down na yung loan by next year.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Magwa-wind down na pala yung loan next year. Kaya ito yung last hurrah, kumbaga.
Yes, correct po, Madam Chair.
Parang in effect, parang multi-year, parang gano'n, bound na tayo. So, these were loan agreements entered into what year, ma'am?
2020, December. It was
2020.
approved in
Sige, okay.
December, Madam.
Let's just make the best use na lang of the amount. Pero yun na nga, something yung baka mahirap mag-comply. Yun siguro ayusin natin, Secretary, yung compliance. Anyway, wala namang kuha findings pala eh. So, fast tracking na lang the mechanics, di ba?
Senator Pimentel, palagay ko lumaki din yan dahil hindi nagagastos dahil sa 70 million commitment fee.
Madam Chair.
Is that an explanation? Yung
backlog na
yung release ba for next year, yan po yung mga unavailed
Madam Chair, Your Honor po, sir. Actually, nagka-problema po tayo kasi hindi po naibibigay sa atin ng DBM yung kung ano po yung nare-request namin every year. So, yun po ang hinihingi naming tulong sa inyo ngayon na to give us...
Ang sinasabi mo, yung Filipino counterpart, hindi na-download sa inyo ng DBM? Yung ba yun?
Nada-download din po, pero kulang po ang kanilang naida-download, Your Honor. Ito po, gusto ko lang po i-share kasi ito po yung lumabas, COA finding po ito.
Yeah.
Na medyo mabagal po ang release po sa atin sa DSWD. For example, noong 2021 po, nag-request po kami ng budget, pero ang ibinigay po sa amin, kulang po ng 1.6 billion. Then, noong 2022, for this year, ang na-request po natin is 11.4 billion. Pero ang nasa NEP po, 8.4 billion lang po. Hanggang pagdating po sa GAA, naging 4.6 billion na lang po. So, may negative po na 3.7 billion. So, for this year, for 2022, nag-request po tayo na maibigay po sana sa atin yung 3.7 billion ng DBM. Your Honor, thank you po.
Okay, so thank you. So anyway, that explains siguro the parang ano ba tawag mo ma'am yung sa dulo, yung balloon. The balloon amount sa dulo because it's the last year of the loan agreement. Ganun siguro. Is that correct, ma'am?
Yes po, Your Honor.
Okay, pero but we have a plan. We have a plan. We have the 11 plus 2 billion, 13 billion plan for next year that we can execute.
Yes po, Your Honor.
So
Yes po.
anyway, ano naman talaga ito eh. Ano to, basic needs of communities to, requested by communities ito eh.
Yes po,
as I
Your
understand
Honor.
it from your answer.
Chair.
So thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Ito na lang pong konti na lang, Secretary. Anyway, ano lang to, mga information lang. Yung may problema tayo sa seniors. Tama po pagkaintindi ko. Kasi ano bang ang pag-budget natin, pag-compute natin, we use the 500 pesos per month for indigent senior citizen benefit.
Yes, sir.
Ngayon, there's a new law na hindi na consider when the NEP was prepared, no? Times 2 lang, ganun lang yung ano natin. Yung more or less ang working ang formula natin, working formula natin to determine the shortfall, ita times 2 lang natin, then like times 2 yung benefits.
Yes.
Kasi yung number of beneficiaries, more or less, assume na lang natin na andun pa rin sa general number na yon.
Yes, sir. And then, meron pa rin pong nasa waiting list, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Nag-senior.
Senior na, pero they're still in the waiting list.
So we're using here the legal definition of the senior age, which is turning 60.
You're indigent.
Yes, hindi. Sa age muna. Basta you're 60 or older and you're indigent, ano ang definition? 25,000 ba rin a month? Hindi. How do we define the indigent senior citizen?
No income at all, Madam Chair or Your Honor. No pension from government agencies. Wala po talaga natatanggap.
Okay, what is the universe now? Ano yung number nila? When we use the computation, when we arrive at 25 billion using 500 pesos.
Give us a second, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Bilan na i-calculator mo lang yun?
Nasaan yun? The number of senior citizens who are receiving social pension, Madam Chair, as of August 31, 2022 is 4,085,066.
around a little more than 4 million. And these are Filipino senior citizens who have no income, are not receiving any pensions.
Yes, yes, Your Honor. That's correct, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
So pag sinabi natin not receiving any pension from pwedeng, saan bang sources of pension natin? GSIS, SSS, or even maybe a private corporation plan? Ganun po ba yan?
Also, that they're not receiving from AFP, MBAI, Police Mutual Benefit Fund, or any institution. They're not getting anything.
So marami-rami rin pala yan, Madam Chair, 4 million of our citizens who are past their the best years, the most economically productive years of their lives. Lampas na sila ron. But so 4 million, and then so paano ang solusyon natin diyan, Madam Chair? Kung times dinoble lang dinoble, so we just look at the 25 billion entry, and we expect if we are to fully comply with the law, 50 billion yun. So kulang ng 25 billion.
Siguro what we need to do, we'll have to face it the same way that the social pension was faced before, because in fact, even before this new law doubling the stipend, there was a big unserved contingent. Maraming naka-waitlist na hindi nakatanggap miski nung 500.
500.
So, meron pa nun, tapos meron pa nito, siguro
utang. Yung mga ganun, Secretary, yung mga entitled ka, hindi nabigyan, kung i-consider natin yun na may utang tayo sa kanila, di ba? Hindi natin kakalimutan yun, tama? Tignan mo na.
No, Your Honor, Madam Chair, unfortunately not. Kagaya po yung sa 4-piece na, yung sabihin natin na backdate mo, or sabihin mo na dapat last year pa ako nakasal in a waiting list. No, hindi po ganun . They get their money once they're into the program.
I think what they're doing is just facing, di ba? Yung senior citizens per face lang yan, hindi yung 60 and above lahat kaya .
So, ang laking pasalamat ni Senator Ligarda na hindi niya hined ang DSWD kasi ang hirap talaga, humirap din ang panahon, di lalong humirap nga ang trabaho niyo. Pero at least, nakikita ko naman, linilista ko yung mga programs natin na pwede nila ma-avail. Natanong lang natin si Ma'am dun sa mahirap intindihin na programa, which is for a community.
Senator Pimentel, I just realized that we have DBM representatives online. Maybe we can ask them.
They can help us kung paano.
Maybe somebody from the DBM can respond to the Kalahisi's questions and other questions that have been propounded.
Narinig ba nila?
I see here DBM Zuniga, Bernal, Dison, Michael Leon, DLU. Anybody can help us from DBM regarding the failure to release the requisite amounts?
All in all, 30 ba lang hinihingi na? Yun na, DBM na yun.
Okay, in the meantime, ma'am, can I continue?
Yes,
si Pia pala is here. Okay,
Yeah, in the meantime,
okay. There is another new law kasi itong senior citizens, new, di ba? Naging new law yun. New law, so that means that the NEP was already prepared when it became law. Am I correct in my understanding, Secretary? Ganun po yun?
That's correct, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
There is another law, the Expanded Solo Parents Welfare Act, which became law siguro after na rin the NEP has been prepared. Does this have a budgetary implication on the SWD o wala?
Naman po, Your Honor.
So that means if ever meron although kasi meron yata additional financial benefit ang solo parents, but it is not the mandate of the DSWD.
Sa LGU.
Sa LGU siya, correct. Yes, sir. Sige, but the IRR is the issuance of the IRR is the responsibility of the DSWD.
It has been launched, Your Honor. It will be the law. I mean, until end of the month po, papasok na po yung effectivity po ng law.
Nung
And
IRR.
so we have already informed the LGUs and our other partners the effectivity of this law at the end of this month.
Yes, thank you. Ito na lang po, ito yung isang observation lamang na yung sa special provisions natin sa Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program sa 2022 GAA, medyo detalyado. Special provision number 1, in-itemize namin yung total amount of the Pantawid Pampamilya Pilipino Program. Dating po sa special provisions number 1 ng NEP 2023, hindi na po natin in-itemize ng ganon. Is that, which is the better approach? Bakit why are we no longer itemizing it po? Kunyari, ang total amount natin ngayon is 115 billion, more or less. If we follow the style of the 2022 GAA sa special provisions, naka-itemize sana doon. Cash grants, training, information, campaign, personnel services, cost of services, administrative services, bank service fees, monitoring and evaluation, spot checks. Yun ang ginawa natin sa 2022. So may we get the reaction from the department? Yes, thank you.
Your Honor, Madam Chair, if you would, our director of our FMS can answer the question better.
Okay, Director Belisar, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Your Honor. To respond to your question, Your Honor, based on experience of the implementation of the 4Ps, there are certain cases where we need to modify funds. And because we have enumerated administrative cost by components, by specific components, it really limits the flexibility of the department in implementing the program. So we thought that it might be, with the help, of course, of Congress, easier for the 4Ps in PMO and the program itself to move and be implemented in a smoother manner if it will be granted this kind of flexibility, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
But as the special provision is written, we are guaranteeing that at least 105 billion, more or less, actual bigay. So, bigay mo na lang sa 9 to 10 billion yung other expenses related to the program. Ganun po yun.
That's correct, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
We cannot even lessen this 9 to 10 billion para more of ilagay mo sa actual bigay talaga sa taong bayan. Are we attempting to parang to tighten our belts dun sa other expenses na sa program so that the amounts that we can release, bigay pa natin sa tao?
Your Honor, Madam Chair, basically in 2023, we're really expecting a full 4.4 million beneficiaries, and essentially all the 105 will be utilized as grants. And so there's a need to really fix that amount there. We will really have to play with about that amount for the administrative cost. And so that's really the requirement only.
Sige, pag-aralan lang natin yun kasi, di ba, we want the administrative costs reduced as much as possible para ma-release for the actual intention of the program, di ba, cash grant. So thank you for that. And then siguro, ito po, last na lang, Secretary. Kasi naaalala namin na sa President's budget message, nabanggit ang supplementary feeding sub-program. So, ito yung to address stunting and malnutrition sa mga bata natin. Kung nabanggit yan sa budget message, syempre ang feeling natin, impression natin, that's a priority program. And yet, tama ba yun that there is a decrease from the comparing 2023 appropriation from 2022? If confirmed na nag-decrease, bakit po kaya?
Your Honor, Madam Chair, kinukonsider po kasi yung devolution at saka four to six class municipalities na lang ang meron ngayon this year. Ang i-cover po niyang feeding na yan.
Yung coverage ano natin,
Lumit na po.
used to be, ano po, Secretary, used to be, ano yung coverage?
Nationwide po yan, yung feeding program yan.
Ngayon, for next year, ang plano natin,
Fourth, fifth, and sixth class municipalities na lang, Your Honor.
pero i-check nyo yung 4th, 5th, 6th, parang binago na rin yata ng DLG yung categorization ng municipalities. You might end up with fourth class na lang.
We will coordinate, Your
So that's the reason. It is really a priority program, except that you tweaked the scope of the implementation to 4 to 6 class municipalities.
That's correct, Your Honor.
So naintindihan ko na po. Thank you for that explanation. So yes, Madam Chair, I'll wind up and I'll just wish them all the best. I wish you all the best. Kayo talaga you're one of the most important departments noon pa man, but all the more these days na worldwide yung mga crisis, iba-iba, economic crisis, hindi naman exempted ang Pilipinas. So just help us cross the bridge from today to tomorrow. You're giving the state, hindi lang yung government, that the entire state time to get our acts together and help improve society and economy so that our people, ang ultimate goal naman natin is really, di ba, to learn to fish, di ba, instead of awaiting the delivery of the fish. Yun ang ating plan. But we understand the situation now, and DSWD is one of the keys to helping us cross from today to tomorrow. So I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Magtulungan tayo, pero doon pa lang mismo sa 5B, hirapan na kami. Hindi ko pa narinig hindi ko pa na-note yung iba mong sinabi, Secretary, pero that's the nature of the job. Parating pong kulang because we aspire for a perfect, we aspire for the perfect world, perfect program, perfect delivery, pero reality, lang po tayo, reality bites. But we will do our perfect best. Yun lang po yung ma-assure po natin. And teamwork po tayo rito.
Yes.
We may belong to the minority, but teamwork po tayo.
Appreciate it, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Yes, thank you very much, Minority Leader. I think Senator Cayetano has requested the second round. Kaya lang, I'll have to terminate very shortly. So we recognize Senator Cayetano. Secretary Tulfo, you wanted to say something. Sorry po.
Madam Chair, meron po ako dadagdag pa yung sa supplemental feeding po. We need 2.5 billion for next year po because of the inflation.
Kahit na linimit na natin yung nag-recompute kayo using this one. Okay.
We still need that again. Dadagdag na po namin sa 25 billion, Madam Chair. Your Honor.
Priority siya, Madam, kasi nabanggit siya talaga sa budget message. So, IS message.
If I may, Your Honor, kasi before po, yung budget po is per capita is nasa 12 to 15 pesos. Pero due to the inflation po ngayon, nasa 27 pesos supposedly per capita yung dapat ibigay natin. So,
Kaya ako nagtaka bakit lumiit yung supplemental feeding ninyo? Why did you reduce it?
The coverage, Madam Chair.
But it's reduced in actual terms, in the budget submitted.
BBM po actually, Your Honor.
Okay,
Madam Chair,
BBM did it for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes, Senator Cayetano, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Umaga kanina, ngayon hapon na. Good afternoon to all of you. Your Honor, I wanted to just clarify this. I'll direct my questions, Secretary, to your USEC. USEC, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it USEC Sulit or USEC Crisanto on the financing?
Kayo, okay. Pero policy kayo, so baka kayong dalawa magsasagot. Matagal na ho kayo pareho sa DSWD or bago lang kayo? Oh, I hope masagot niyo yung tanong ko. No, because it's your job to ensure continuity. Napaka-importante po ng services niyo, Mr. Secretary. So, same line of questioning as before, no, on alternative care. As the Secretary himself acknowledged, itong mga street children na sinabi niyong ipaprioritize niyo. And dagdag na natin doon, ano, it's not just literally yung street children. Maraming children abused in their homes. So, you may not see them on the streets, but they are abused in their homes. 2021 UNICEF study showed that particularly because of the lockdown, there have been so many victims of sexual online abuse, amounting possibly to 2 million children. So, are their parents or guardians aware of this? Possibly, because they live in their homes, di ba? And so these are children who may have to be removed from their homes if it is a harmful environment to them. To be clear, wala akong sinasabing basta tanggalin yan, sinasabi ko kung harmful ang environment, if their parents are not protecting them, then they may have to be given alternative homes. Do we agree on that, Secretary? The record shows naman the Secretary is nodding. Bilisan na natin kasi our chairman said limited ang time. So, correct me if I'm wrong now. Let me go now into the policy and the budget. What I saw from your presentation is there is 19.8 billion pesos in the NEP, which covers two items: AIX beneficiary and children served through the Alternative Family Care Program. So 19.8 billion yon. Wala kayong pinakita sa presentation ng breakdown. May breakdown ba kayo? How much of that would go to alternative childcare? Because, and I'll simplify this, the target number here is 1,662, but no less than the Secretary is saying that ipaprioritize natin to. 1,662 is down from the current year's target of 1,693 na bawasan. But mas konti ba ngayon ang nangangailangan ng alternative childcare? Lumala nga daw during the lockdown. So, on that note, what is the breakdown? What is this amount for alternative childcare in the past and in the present?
Yes, Yusek Crisanto, I think you head finance and can give us some information.
Good afternoon, ma'am, Your Honor. Okay, so what we have right now for adoption is 162 million, right? For 2023, we have that at 221 million po, Madam Chair.
So, ano yung 162 ano yung 162 last year and then this year and then next and then for 2023 it's 200 something million, tama ba?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. So are we clear that this amount will go to NAC? Who else will handle that if not NAC?
Okay. That is the amount, Madam, that is intended to go to...
Okay, let me clear. Executive Director Janela, are you aware na may 200 million kang tatanggapin sa 2023 budget? And ASEC Jam, are you working with ED Janela kasi you're also... Both of you were... Well, I was calling the attention of ED Janela, but you were motioning. So I don't mind who answers. I'm assuming that you work with NAC.
I'm not aware po.
It's not working.
I'm not aware with the budget.
You're not aware. Did you want to say something, ASEC?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. I'm on.
Anak ka rin pala. Okay, kasi maliit na yun eh. Pero nakita ko na.
Yes, good.
You are not aware.
No.
O, aware na kayo ngayon. Dahil sinabi nyo na yung 200 million sa kanila yon. Yes, yung mic nyo. Bakit ganon? Pag pera na pinag-uusapan, ayaw na umandar ng mic. Joke lang yan. Oh, clear. Bakit kailangan pa kami mag-ungkat nito? Bakit hindi sila aware? Oh, baka policy yan. May reason na hindi sila aware. Job nila yan, Secretary, di ba? You support naman, di ba?
I do support, Madam Chair. Ang problem kasi we're in transition right now, pero I do know that we have a budget for that. Hindi ko lang po alam na that amount.
Pero bakit hindi nila alam, sir? Malaking bagay yon because this is at the forefront of maybe not solving because if the abuse is happening in the homes, it is not, as far as I know, hindi sila ang may job na mag-intervene. Sila lang ang sumasalo ng mga batang nare-rescue dyan. So bakit hindi nila alam na may 200 million sila? Bakit? Did you want to say something, Chairman? Can I acknowledge Executive Director?
Is that okay? Yusek Janela, please.
Yes po. Madam Chair, kasi po ang nakalagay po sa budget proposal ng DSWD is still ICAB budget.
Exactly. And may I intervene? Mr. Secretary, ang ICAB budget is for international adoption. Gusto nyo ba na yung budget for international adoption na very clear ang policy na secondary ang mga batang pinapadala abroad? Pagpipilitan natin na magkasya ang budget na yon for all the domestic adoptions and foster care, please take note, if implemented properly, the foster care will home, so, kung possible, millions of children. Kasi nasa kultura naman ng mga Pilipino na ampunin ang mga nangangailangan nilang kamag-anak at kapitbahay. Funding lang ito to make it happen. So bakit naman pinagpipilitan nyo na pagtsagaan nila yung budget for international adoption? Paano naman yung mga bata na for domestic adoption? I know, nakita ko, yun ang nasa budget nila. Bakit nangyari yun? Secretary, I mentioned this to you when we met, ha?
I know, Madam Chair, I have
Sinabi
to...
ko sa inyo, mabait ako, and I am just ensuring that we support the good programs here.
Madam Chair, the explanation there is we're in transition po. Okay, and then our apologies to NACC if my transition team hasn't informed them, and I was just informed right now, so I'll have to talk to these people right now, Madam Chair. I apologize. There's no excuse, even though they knew in their positions, even my finance undersecretary, I have to talk to them immediately after this.
That's why I'm also asking sa policy nyo, Yusek Sulit, may say ka ba dito? Policy ka eh. Yes, Yusek Sulit, you're
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, Your Honor. Let me state, Your Honor, that the DSWD supports NACC even before the...
You support
change.
in name but without a budget.
Well, what we did, Your Honor, is that the budget is, the NEP is already issued when the constitution or reconstitution or the new NAC came into force. So, yari na ho yung NEP eh. So, nandun ho...
Wala naman akong problema, Secretary, I acknowledge it, di ba? Kung hindi pa naman sila prepared to receive it, whether it's because wala silang back or whatever, I don't care. You are one family.
Yes,
so, nag-commit ba kayo sa kanila na ibibigay nyo yan budget? Hindi yung bibigyan nyo lang ng pakonti-konti. Budget nila yan. The law just created a new agency para buong buo. Budget nila yan. Hindi sila dapat nagbebeg.
Ma'am, what we did is that we assigned our adoption social workers to them as their regional, as intended in the law, as their regional...
Lahat ng gumagawa ng trabaho ng
Yes, ma'am.
adoption under the old system.
Yes, ma'am. We assigned it to them. Yes,
all
ma'am.
of them.
Yes,
Ay,
ma'am.
Tama ba? Is that correct?
Your Honor,
Madam Chair,
Madam Chair,
can just recognize?
Yes, Jam.
Thank you po. But currently, we have been told that yes, there are DSWD, ARU social workers who are assigned to us. However, these social workers are still multitasking, Madam Chair, Your Honor. They are even handling disbursement tasks,
Yes.
plus pension, and all other DSWD programs, ma'am. Your Honor.
Thank you. Because we made this law so that they do not have to multitask, so that once and for all, the UNICEF estimate that there are 1.8 million abandoned and neglected children can be precisely taken care of. Tapos tuloy-tuloy nyo naman pinapag-multitask, di para saan pa yung law namin? They're not supposed to multitask. They are supposed to be assigned to them completely. Now, during the transition, Your Honor, hindi ako makikialam. The law was there upon the request of DSWD to allow a 3-year transition period precisely so as not to disrupt the services. Is that clear? Not to disrupt the services. So kung tinitipid nyo yung binibigay nyo sa kanilang personnel at budget, di madidisrupt ang services. Are we clear, Yusex? So, Mr. Secretary, can I leave this? Can I leave this point? Can I trust that this will be implemented as the law envisions?
Madam Chair, Your Honor, I rest assured that it will be implemented this year, including the turnover of the finances, their funds, and personnel. we will not wait anymore for the 3-year period transition. So this is our second year, so we will finish it this year, Madam Chair.
For the record, Madam Chairperson and Mr. Secretary, I am not the one who's insisting that you finish in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. DSWD ang nag-request ng 3-year transition. I don't care what the transition plan is. You are one family. Kasama nyo naman po yan eh. Diba? So wala dapat problema na bigay nyo yung full assistance whether there is a complete transition or not. In fact, the reason for that transition is already part of history was so that may executive director doon na tuloy-tuloy tumitingin. Tapos na yun, may bago na kayong executive director who will fulfill this task. Therefore, get it done and in the meantime, support them in all possible ways. Okay? Thank you. And I just note, Your Honor, meron tayong USEC for Legislative. Makita ang liaison officer. So siguro naman alam niyo yung batas, yung bill na binanggit ko. O debrief your team kasi nandun yung details ng bill na yon tungkol sa support sa women and children. So happy kami to get your comments and feedbacks on it so that when the chairman is ready, we can hear it and provide a smoother path for this support. I leave it at that, Your Honor. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much, Senator Cayetano, for being so quick. I think we need a quick manifestation from Senator Bongo, who has just arrived. As I said, I beg your indulgence. I need to go shortly, but thank you, Senator Pia and Senator Bongo. Please make your manifestations.
Salamat. Thank you, Madam Chair. Secretary Tulfo, Erwin, sir. Tawa ka naman dyan, sir.
Yes. This is very, we're okay. We're okay. Kasi nausapin ko natin itong mga ito mamaya.
Huwag kayo magmadali, sir. Meron po akong 20 pages na tanong sa inyo. Thank you, Madam Chair, to my fellow senators here, our resource persons, and everyone in attendance. Secretary Tulfo, would like to put on record my full support to the budget of the Department of Social Welfare and Development and its attached agencies. Madam Chair, I cannot overemphasize the importance of this department. Trabaho ko po ito noon pa. When it comes to making sure that our fellow countrymen are given sufficient and adequate social services for their daily basic needs. Importante po dito, sir, walang magutom ng mga kababayan natin at alam kong alam mo po yan. Yan yung pong priority niyo rin po. As we can see every year from the history of the budget of DSWD, almost every year, its budget increases. With 196 billion allocated for DSWD for 2023, we must make sure that every peso goes directly to our less fortunate countrymen, most especially in these trying times. Yung mga mahihirap po, dapat ang makinabang po dito. Gamitin po natin ang pondo sa tama upang may paabot natin ang tulong sa mga mahihirap at nangangailangan nating kababayan. Salamat po ako sa DSWD sa inyong effort na may paabot ang tulong ng gobyerno sa tao sa pamamagitan ng Sustainable Livelihood Program, SLP, Assistance to Individuals in Crisis Situations, AIX, Pantawid Pamilya Pilipino Program, Social Pension Program for Indigent Senior Citizens at iba pang programa habang tayo patuloy na nakikibaka sa epekto ng pandemya. Sa ating mga masisipag na social workers, maraming salamat po sa inyong serbisyo sa ating mga kababayan. Madam Chair, I would like to take this opportunity to request the department to intensify its service in various malasakit centers across the Philippines. Secretary Tulfo, yung mga malasakit centers natin bilang isa po sa napapaloob na ahensya sa malasakit center, sana po matulungan natin yung mga pasyente sa kanilang, aside sa hospital billing, yung request po for financial at transportation. Yun po napaka-importante. Paano sila makarating sa hospital, pauwi. Minsan nangungutang pa yan, nagpiprenda pa yan dahil walang pambayad po. Sana matulungan natin sila, lalong-lalo na po sa mga pamasahe. Talagang walang-wala yan pag na-admit sa hospital yung mga kababayan nating mahirap. Kayo po ang pag-asa ng ating mga pasyente na kailangan ng tulong pinansyal sa kanilang mga hospital bills. Paalala ko rin po sa DSWD, lalo nyo pong unahin ang kapakanan ng ating kapwa, lalo na ngayong krisis. Yung mga mahihirap po, yung mga helpless, yung mga hopeless nating kababayan. Magtulungan lang po tayo. Nandito po ako para sumuporta po sa inyo at tumulong sa mga mahirap. Salamat, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator Go. And yes, we're aware of the necessity to support the Malasakit Bill, which is, after all, a law today. With that, I think there are no further interpellators. I would like to endorse, with the support of our senator here, to the plenary, the budget of the DSWD. There being no objections.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Jinggoy.
I second the motion. Before that, Madam Chair, would like to thank again Senator Pia Cayetano for being very, very supportive of the agency, which incidentally is chaired by my daughter Janela. Thank you very much, Comadre Pia. And again, I would like to second the motion for the budget of the DSWD to the plenary.
Thank you very much, Senator Jinggoy Estrada, Senator Bongo. With that, we have endorsed to the Mother Committee of Finance the subcommittee report and findings of today on the DSWD budget. May I simply enjoin all of the program directors, the ASECs, USECs, and particularly Secretary Tulfo. Sabi nga, pag maikli ang kumot, matutong bumaluktot. Tama nga yun, talagang baluktutan ang panahon na ito. Let me simply reiterate what Secretary Diokno has said. Palibhasa ko, konti ang pera, dapat ang paggamitan talagang targeted. So let us try to target. I'm a little bit concerned about certain provisions. For example, the coverage of the 4-piece, which is no longer limited, apparently, to the listahanan 3. It's very clear in your special provisions na may disaster. Paulit-ulit na yan sa AICS. Meron rin dyan yung mga highly vulnerable beneficiaries of the same household. Paulit-ulit na rin yan. Pagkatapos, meron na kung ano-ano pa. So, I think what we need to do is delineate per program, ano ba talaga yung SLP versus yung kalahe? Sino ba yung kasama sa 4-piece? Kung listahanan lang, because it's a conditional cash transfer. I think we need to carve out also a niche for unconditional cash transfers for bedridden seniors, for example, or even PWDs who are unable to take care of themselves. So, pwede naman yan ilagay sa special provisions at saka yung himayin natin ng kaunti ang mga programa, pati yung budget, para yung mga tanong ni Senator Pia, yung mga tanong ni Senator Bongo, hindi na kakailanganin na i-raise pa sa plenary, kundi nakalista na talaga at naka-itemize ng maigi. So yun na lang ang hihingin ko sa inyo. Exactly as Secretary Diokno advised, tuloy-tuloy ang ayuda. Kaya nga lang, mas targeted, mas nuanced ang tulong para sa kada isa, sa kanilang kinakailangan, at higit sa lahat, niche responsive sa bawat isa, kasi iba-iba ang mukha ng kahirapan. Maraming salamat po sa inyo, at thank you very much. Good luck with plenary and the rest.
Ipin mo na lang siguro.